Okay, everyone. Surrey Park City Committee of Community Boards One. I'm Jeff Galloway, the chair. Sitting next to me is my co-chair, Justine Kucha, and over there to the right, other co-chair, Eric Flores. It's not boring already. We're gonna have a slight change in the agenda tonight, a change in order. We are going to do, in the printed agenda, it shows the dog run upgrade project is number 2. That's going to be number 1. And the neighborhood enhancement project will be number 2. So I think, Jamie, are you the presenter on the dog runs?
Yeah, and I appreciate you moving me first.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, if we could pass this down.
Thank you.
Would you please pass that down?
There you go. Thank you. Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name is Jamie. I'm project manager of planning and design for Battery Park City Authority's Design and Construction Department. And I'm here today to talk about dog runs. More. So I was here for the first time almost a year ago to introduce this capital improvement project to you all for the dog runs upgrade. And at that time, I was sharing the project information, preliminary findings from our broad community feedback survey, which we had done prior to awarding the contract. And then we returned earlier this year in February with the Green Collective. They're a Brooklyn-based landscape architecture firm, and they led the design for this project. They presented to share about their engagement strategy, and they helped us develop a secondary community feedback survey. And we also put together an advisory group to go through the participatory design process together. That advisory group consisted of members of this PPC committee, the PPC Dog Association, the Southern Dog Association, PPCA's Waste Working Group, as well as members of the North and South residential neighborhoods. So with the advisory group, we engaged through 4 meetings that talked through different design approaches, the existing dog run sites, constraints, and what we looked or hoped to see with these dog run improvements. So following the advisory group's participatory design process, we landed on a couple design approaches or final concepts that we moved forward with the design team to develop into construction documents. So that's what we expect, this past fall, spring, summer, and fall to finalize. So today I'm sharing the final layout for North End Avenue Dog Run. There are going to be 2 slides of the layout. The first slide I want to use to talk about elements of the dog run that we are maintaining, and then the second slide I'm going to utilize to talk through the features that we're enhancing. So the wonderful thing we heard about from the community about this dog run is that being on the North End Avenue median, it provides a length that's really special to play fetch with for the dogs. We wanted to hold on to that component of the layout. We're also maintaining an area for the small dog runs and the large dog runs. And we really sought to maintain where the plumbing infrastructure currently is. So on the south or on the bottom of this page, which is the east side of the dog run, is where you'll see the water feature play element as well as drinking fountain. We're keeping the tree-lined identity of the site as well as the curbs that define where the fence is located for this dog run. So this layout is very similar, but you can see, I'll flip back one more time, that this second version introduces a new surfacing material, which is K9 turf. Apart from that, this layout remains the same. So the enhancements that we were looking at here include improved fencing and gate access with hardware that latches more easily. We have seating, which we are now providing 3 types of seating. On the top of the page, you'll see platform seating. On the bottom, along the perimeter, it's bench tops. And then on the far right, you'll see picnic bench with seats on. We're introducing umbrellas for shade along the south side where there are seating. And we are also keeping seasonal water play. But we're introducing a water play element that doesn't rely on electricity to operate. It delivers water jets and sprays through use of the pump. It just doesn't require electric. So our hope is that it won't fall into disorder as frequently as our current dog runs have. And then the last thing that we're enhancing is the topography. Over on the left side, you can see these two circles that represent mounds. They won't exceed 2 feet high. And along that, we have these boulders to create more agility features and dog play. Essentially the main features. So then the next steps for us is to go into procurement later this year. We'll put the final drawings out to bid, competitive bidding process to find a general contractor, subsequently award and look to begin construction in 2026. As we work out awarding the project, logistics, contract, staging, and how to prep for this work, we'll be working with our communications team to share out information on when we can expect this construction process to begin. I've been asked two questions.
Maybe you said this, but, do you know how long it's going to be out of commission during construction?
That I don't have details on yet. We won't know until we receive bids from contractors. Usually the process involves the contractor to provide an estimate of how much time they think they can get the project done in. And that's one of the things we take into consideration. Because things, for example, such as the surfacing material can't be installed unless it's a certain weather condition.
Right.
So that really impacts how the contractors plan out their execution of this construction.
Yeah, but I can say that we will definitely take it offline as short as possible. So they would do upfront work, once we procure them, they'll do their shop drawings and procure all of the, all the materials and stuff before we would start taking it offline. So that's the intent, at least.
Just a quick question, and this is actually almost for you, Jeff. When would be a better time to do it? Is it better in the spring, the fall, the winter? And when do, people use the dog runs?
Yeah.
My dogs are terrible with dogs. I don't. But people use the dog run. When is it best to have it offline?
I think it's like lots of other recreational facilities. The warmer weather brings out more people.
Okay.
But they are used year round.
Yeah.
But, I think to the extent that it could be done in the winter time, that's probably better, although that probably has more challenging weather for a lot of construction.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. Like Janie said, certain things need a certain temperature to be able to install them, like a minimum temp.
And it's like, and after turf, you're gonna have grass, you're gonna have fake grass, but how is that gonna work with feed and stuff? You've been watching,
This
right?
is dog astroturf.
Yeah,
Janie
so-
knows a lot about it.
Hey, can I just-
Special.
This is canine turf, not astroturf, so it's got an open weave in the back, so I think of it more like a rug.
Oh,
So we could be installing it over aggregate, so really anything could be hosed down through and it would drain off. Rather than, in some instances, and I've been to a couple dog runs in part of the research process where it seems like the turf is installed right on a hard surface.
yeah.
It either sits or it soaks in, and so when we do this, we want to do it right and provide the proper subsurface for proper drainage.
So that's very lovely. And then what's on the edges? So it's all astroturf, or the green where the grass is gonna be regular grass?
The green represents astroturf.
Oh.
The border that you see on the top and bottom are outside the dog run area, and those are actually existing shrubs and honey locust trees.
Okay.
The design doesn't propose to alter any of that, but we did speak with our parks horticulture team because we anticipate there will be some minor impacts. So we would take the opportunity to eliminate the new shrubs and plant something different that is more of a native species, the non-toxic to dog.
Christine.
And Christine's right.
That's okay. I have another question about the astroturf. How often will it be cleaned? And how hot does it get in the summertime since there's no shade there?
So Clone Asher is canine turf,
And how, okay, the canine turf.
the canine turf. It will, something to be.
How often will you clean it? Yeah, okay, daily. And then how hot does it get? What's the heat during the summertime in the hot months?
I would measure the heat there on the hottest months, but I will say the space does get a decent amount of shade. And that's something we thought about because the other dog run we were looking at designing for was Serious Dog Run, and that site gets a lot more exposure. And that's something we would be careful about closing. But here we have sense that there's enough shade there that it wouldn't be harmful.
Oh, but you don't know for sure.
You know,
Oh, because I know that with the artificial turf, canine or human, that it can get quite hot. And since there's no shade, that's why I'm very.
Right?
Where does this actually drain to? Like city system? It's not gonna drain into the river.
to drain into the existing drainage that exists on site already. We would be
Well,
tapping into the
Does
existing.
anybody know where that drains to?
Well, ultimately, all storm drains go into the river.
So it's going into a storm drain, not like from our buildings. When we flush, it goes into the city.
Yes, this will go, I don't,
So,
Is it treated
No, we-
before it goes into the Hudson?
it'll go to CSO.
What does that mean?
Why don't we
So-
get back to you on the location of, you know, where the drainage goes in this instance? Because I don't think we know the answer. Right,
Yeah.
we're like making, we can make assumptions, but I actually don't know the answer. Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm sorry I'm late, so if you've answered this, or just tell me. Is there not going to be shaded or cover seating with one of the requests? Is that like when it rains or it drizzles, that there's umbrellas?
We are proposing some umbrellas, very similar to what we have at West Thames. So those would be installed onto the posts along the perimeter fencing. There was an earlier scheme where we showed umbrellas in the dog run.
Yes.
It becomes an obstruction
Yes,
and it
it-
takes up footprint space. So we decided to have it installed, mounted to the fence posts to eliminate the need for additional footing and also opens up free space for dogs to run.
Okay, and what is the little dog run part?
The small dog run part has the one umbrella and it also has the picnic bench over on the right. And then the lines that you saw me running vertical on either end are the existing canopies that are already there.
They provide shade.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Other questions? Do you have a go for it?
I had a question
Sure.
about the existing drainage. Are you gonna tie into the existing one, or are you guys gonna pay drainage to drain the right way?
We are,
So
gonna-
I mentioned,
yes, we are gonna pitch it properly to drain our existing drainage.
so I guess that's what the turf is. What's this, you know, or this, because right now it just gets low
Yeah,
and it's.
it does cool. We have to properly pitch it so that there's runoff and one is relocation.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's hear about the serious dog run.
Oh, that is not on the agenda today.
Oh, okay.
Keep on North End Avenue because that is one we are moving into construction, whereas Sirius, it's a little bit more complicated to work through. So we're not moving forward with that one yet.
Wait, you're
We've
not
also-
moving through, you're not moving forward with Sirius?
Not currently. We'll do the construction after the Northwest project.
In 5
So
years?
when it's out of the way, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, wait.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. So you're going to wait 5 or 6 years to upgrade Sirius? Seriously, that is a problem. Is the dog runs, my understanding, is it incorrect, is not going to be closed during construction?
That is true, but I also committed to not having both dog runs offline at the same time. So we think it's wiser to start with one dog run before we shut down the other, and once that reopens, then we'll take care of the
The condition of Sirius is so poor, you know this. And it is 10 times worse than the condition of the North Park. I feel like that's a broken promise. It's a shock. Did anyone else know that Sirius was off the table for 5 to 6 years? No, I think we need to go back and, take a stop on this. Sirius is a mess. It's dangerous. It doesn't drain. Nothing's been fixed. The surface cuts up dog paws. You know, it's in horrible, horrible condition. It can't wait 5 to 6 years, and there were promises made to the community about Sirius. I find this really unacceptable. Jeff, do you want to weigh in?
Well, I mean, I think we did hear that North End would go first, and I do agree that it should be sequential, but I don't think we should wait the full 5 years before doing Sirius if it is physically possible to do it, because it is staying open. And, and as Jill says, it's in, the surface at least is in pretty bad.
Well, and the water doesn't drain. It hasn't even been fixed, the pool.
Well, the water was
Before-
draining this weekend.
No, it's the system's broken. We have a neighbor whose husband cuts a yoga mat circle to put over the drain hole. And then we have it, one of those long handles from a grocery store that we have to pry it up with to drain the water. That is not fixed. I do not just call that situation a fixed situation. If you are not going to do the full overhaul of Sirius, then before starting on the north side, there needs to be a basic upgrade of the existing park. And I'm really serious about this, really serious. I just can't believe, I'm sorry, I'm in deep shock right now that knowing the condition, knowing the people you spoke to, the neighborhoods and the promises made, to not even have a plan to repave and fix the pool is not acceptable.
We'll take that back, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the issues, the general
Yeah.
existing park
Mhm.
needs to be functioning,
Yeah.
clean. The pool needs to have the drain fixed. Supposedly some
Repair.
part was ordered, but it's been a year, what, year and 2 years now? That part has not appeared. So then a new drainage system needs to be put in, and it needs to be a surface, not just a repair. It needs to be resurfaced. Those two things are a minimum. I'm still upset that it's not being done for 5 to 6 years after those promises made.
But those are pretty intense, so if you're gonna do all that, do this, you know, without.
But even if
Yeah.
you're not, those repairs should have been made anyway, regardless
Yeah, I think.
of anything.
Yeah, the water feature should be worked on.
And the surface needs to be completely redone. As you know, we call them sinkholes in there.
Mhm.
And as I've told you, people fall. I mean, I tripped, I wasn't hurt. Because the holes in there are so big and the surface is so corroded that dogs' paws bleed.
That's ridiculous.
Well, can we see if we can get some, work
Yeah.
done to that? I can understand the full project may not be able to be done short term, but the surface.
But we can
and
look
water
at M and O stuff
You know,
there also.
But I think
And
there's a
then-
priority in terms of timing to do that before the next sort of season starts. People were expecting this to be done and ready for next summer. I'm speechless. I am speechless.
Know that people were expecting it for next summer. I don't think
Yes,
Janie
because
knew
that
that.
was the dateline discussed, that it would start in after around January. I mean, I can go back through all my notes.
But we were always talking about the other dog run coming first, like that this would be the first dog run.
And then what about West Thames Dog Run? I just thought that wasn't even on the,
That's
No.
not on,
yeah,
yeah,
not on the map. Okay.
right. 'Cause that one is more complicated with ownership, kind of in the state.
And state DOT.
Yeah,
Can I just ask you a question? You know the condition of this park. This is not new. This has been brought to you for what, over a year?
Yes.
Nothing has been done to improve that park in the past year. There has been no repaving, and the fountain has not been, the pool has
well,
not.
I think we've already established.
Okay.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
definitely
it's not a
agree.
matter of
Yeah.
going back to discuss it. I think it's a matter of getting this done.
I've been down there personally. I know Ryan and the Parks Operation team are down there. It may not be done to everyone's satisfaction, but they are on it. I recognize that's not a satisfactory answer, but they are aware of it. As an immediate measure, we can take it back to Park Recreation's team to see what all they can do. I was down there,
Yeah.
they trying to unclog it this summer, so it's very heavily used.
Yeah, so to tell people, oh, great, it's gonna be a dump for the next 5 to 6 years, the fountain's not gonna work and your dog's paws will get cut up.
Well, we're gonna look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Get back to you with.
We will follow up with you with that.
Okay,
Sure.
Thanks, Janie.
time. Thank you, Janie.
All right, well, we're now ready for the main presentation for tonight, main in the sense it's gonna be longer. Dog runs are more important to me, but neighborhood enhancement project. So,
So thank you, Jeff, and members of the committee. Justine. We have come to you back in May, for an initial presentation and then in July with an update. Essentially, it's kind of ideas that we have with input from the community about enhancements that may be made over the course of the resiliency work to come on other areas of the neighborhood, whether it be traffic and pedestrian safety, traffic calming, different ideas for different public spaces, et cetera. And over the course of those conversations, with Kimberly and Sarah, we got some really good feedback from the community. Overall, I think we've heard that people like the idea writ large. They would like to see, to the extent that it can be done with perhaps a lighter touch. So encompassing all that feedback, I'll turn it over to Sarah and Tina to walk you through the latest summation of those conversations and what we have. Is that okay?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Pfeffer-Curtin. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Battery Park City Authority, and I'm joined by Mike Ernst, who is our consultant with Eric. And so we're going to give you an update about what we've been working on and what is to come. So as Nick said, this work is looking across the neighborhood about where we can, I'm watching you click your computer and not click it myself, sorry. I'm in charge of my own destiny here. So we're looking across the neighborhood, so we're gonna reframe, frame the project overview, and then we're gonna talk about wayfinding signage that we're developing in response to the construction for the Northwest Resiliency Project. We're then gonna speak to you about the intersection and streetscape improvements that we're considering and where those stand in conversation with our fellow agency partners. And then we have updates on their future capital projects. So the neighborhood enhancements work is looking across the neighborhood about places throughout Battery Park City that could use a refresh, or places that maybe are going to be used more often in response to Northwest Resiliency. But generally, as stewards for the whole neighborhood, we want to make sure that we're looking with care throughout the neighborhood. And so these projects we're going to talk to you about today, or give you the update, are focused around wayfinding, plazas, providing public amenities and improvements throughout the neighborhood. Mike, I'll turn it to Mike to first talk about the wayfinding signage that's in development.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be back and presenting for you again. So I'm going to speak about the signage and wayfinding initiative that we are working on. So this is responding to the Resilience Project and will be implemented in different phases. Those phases are meant to respond as the construction of the Resilience Project changes over time. The first types of signs we're going to be implementing are meant to be a flexible system that we can put up quickly. We can also move as different phases of construction come online. And these are meant to be, again, flexible, easily deployed. Essentially, it's a barricade, 6-foot barricade with a vinyl wrapping that has different messages on the front and back side. The typical backside will include the Resilience logo and a QR code that links to the project website, which will include, the latest and up-to-date information for the project. And then on the front side is going to be different directional information to help users navigate the close pedestrian paths that are happening because of construction. So there'll be information on detours to our left, detour right, but then also a link again to the QR code with some information about the overall project to help explain the context and the purpose. So again, this is a fast, lightweight system that we're going to implement. Oh, same thing as you. Button. And primarily we'll be deploying these for the site readiness project sites. So these are going to be shorter term closures. They're going to be typically preceding the major construction. And that's why we're doing this kind of flexible lighter weight system. So you can see here, these are some of the early site readiness projects. These are not going to be implemented all at the same time, but as these are phased on and off, you'll see that this is our intention for where those signs will be located. Did you have a question?
Oh, I was just trying to figure the readiness, that means areas that are closed, right?
Yes, the site, what's shown in orange is going to be closed. We don't have the dates of these closures on, but yeah, these are typically a few months at a time.
So
But I
that
would
would
know-
South End Avenue.
No, I would note that, like, for instance, Albany, it looks like it's totally closed, but it is not. You can still get to the Esplanade from Albany. So it's not that the access is closed, but that part of the street end is under construction.
So how do you get into the Winter Garden from South End?
From North End
No,
or from South End?
No.
There's actually going to be, there's a path there. It's just such a small.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like
So
a,
there will be a.
yeah.
Along
there's
the
a
building.
path
Yeah.
Along the
Along the
building.
building, so you'll be
Yeah.
able to enter.
Correct.
Into the
You
building.
can go from the outside and then you could also go through the inside of the building if you
Okay.
wanted to.
But the plaza and the seating will all be closed.
Some of it is closed, but the upper plaza in the site readiness is open still, so those restaurants all still have their seating areas.
Okay, oh, I see, so restaurants will be open,
Mhm.
Oh,
but you won't be, and you will be able to get to the restaurant from South End.
I see. Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can walk
There's
outside
that little
through,
path.
yeah, a path.
Is that gonna be fenced, like you won't be able to see the marina because there'll be a fence blocking your view?
The just site readiness work is a different kind of fence. It's like a smaller, more nimble kind of fence, but yeah, you would not be able to see all the way through on,
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting out at the restaurant, you'll
but
be
you're at a
basically.
higher elevation there, so it is interesting. Yeah,
So you'll be,
yeah, so this is all happening on the lower
okay,
portion.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. The lower portion's basically closed.
I think we talked about
Yes.
this in a preliminary meeting, but if Rector is closed, there should be a sign at South End Avenue.
So that's what I was trying to say. It's not, like, it's not totally closed. There still will be an accessible path to
On both
the
Rector
Esplanade.
and Albany?
On Rector and Albany, every instance, you'll still be. For people.
People.
What about cars?
Well, they don't go to the Esplanade.
Cars don't go through the Esplanade there anyway.
Yeah,
So
but they
come-
turn on
Oh,
Holiday
the
Street.
turn- Yeah, the turnaround is still there.
Turnaround will still be open, emergency vehicles, everybody can fit, right?
That's right.
That's
yeah.
fine.
And then in the north, by the end by Chamber Street,
Mhm.
this is so, I'm so sorry, I can't see it so well, but, there'll be a pathway, yeah. There will be a pathway there by, because the pediatrician's office is here, I believe. And then I think there's a restaurant here, or, something, that'll all be access and open.
I don't think there's a restaurant.
Not a restaurant, it's a,
Oh, the deli. Yeah, the deli, you can go to the deli.
you can get to the
still.
deli and you can get in here with wheelchairs, with strollers, with
yes,
double strollers.
yes. Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
orange is a little,
It looks huge.
very graphic here.
Yeah,
And we weren't coming here to like
okay.
walk through, because I think they did that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
And this is just to tell you, we have additional signage that we're designing so that people will see it from afar and not be surprised. And they'll also be able to know what's going on.
Yeah. Could you just
Yeah.
say again when it's gonna go up?
It will go up,
Yes.
I don't have the dates of the site readiness, so it goes, they're not all happening at the exact same
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
So there are different time periods.
And it'll be staggered, right?
That's right, yeah.
Right.
That's
But you'll let us know as they're happening.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what they
Yeah.
will communicate it out.
Yeah, this is the location you were just looking at, it just goes into a bit more
Oh,
detail.
perfect.
Yeah, just.
Placement. Again, I would not read overly into the orange shape, because there are pedestrian paths. It's more just
Pedestrian path.
the general indicative closure.
And is the road open or no?
The road will not be
The
open.
road will not be open, so no cars will go through, but people can walk,
People can
stroll.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Does that speak to someone who just raised that point, that our cars
Yeah.
need to know in advance, so they don't?
Turn down north, yep, turn down north end.
Yes.
So there will be car signage, right?
Yeah, there should be car signage and
And
I'm
what
not,
about bicycles? Because that's a big city
have-
bike route.
yeah, we have bike signage as well. I think, does it show up later? Yeah, you'll see the bike signage.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here you go.
So those
Bike
were those were, that was the system, again, those types of projects are meant to be shorter term, they're gonna be only up for a few months at a time. For the longer periods of construction that are gonna be multiple years, in some cases, we're looking at a more calling semi-permanent, because the signage is still meant to be indicative of the construction, so this is not gonna be, the signage will not remain post-construction, but in some cases, these signs will be up for an extended period of time, in some cases, years. So it's gonna be a different material. This is gonna be printed on aluminum, metal. It'll be very sturdy, able to withstand weather. But it has similar information. So you'll see for bicycle signage, our overall direction is to point people to the Empire State Trail.
Yes.
There will be parts of the Esplanade that are going to be open and accessible, but it's gonna be inconsistent and it's not gonna be always easy for cyclists to get to the
Yeah.
waterfront. So our general strategy is to direct people to the trail.
Yeah, a lot of delivery guys zoom through the Esplanade.
Yeah, so they're, at different stages of construction, they're not gonna be able to make a full.
Good.
We also are gonna have a sign type, so you'll see on the right there, there's a sign type that's gonna be pole mounted. So this is something where we can use existing lamp posts and other poles in the neighborhood. That means that we don't have to install a new pole in most cases. And then where we may not have an existing pole, we're also looking at a planter type. So there will be a planter that can be used using Battery Park City Authority forklifts and other equipments. So they're somewhat portable in the sense that we can move them as the construction phases changes, but they're very sturdy and heavy, so they're not going to be easily knocked over. And they'll have a sign that's essentially in the soil. So we'll be able to have plants and, beautify the neighborhood while providing this additional signage.
Do you anticipate having informational links like the QR code on these kinds of signs as well? I don't see them here.
That is a good point. We can easily do
We
that.
could do that, yeah.
Yeah,
At the moment,
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have that information, but there is a white bar at the bottom where we'll
Mhm.
potentially add that information.
That would make, I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
People might want more information.
So you say the Esplanade is
Sorry.
closed to bike traffic? Just want to make sure I understood that.
I think we're encouraging people to use the.
Okay, so
Empire.
it's not closed. Just,
The various segments will be closed at various.
no, I understand that. I'm just concerned, is it a narrow path that people and the bikes that decide not to, because they bike down by the Hudson the whole way and they're not gonna get off
Oh, I
when
see
they
what you're
get.
saying.
Yeah.
No, I don't. The portions of this one are closed will be full Esplanade. It won't be that half.
Okay.
The Esplanade is closed, so the bikes and the pedestrians have to squeeze into the same.
Yeah,
Closed
Okay,
This
Both
way.
parts.
Yeah.
Or this way, not, right?
Yes.
Is that what- I'm sorry, my hand signal.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're not going
We'll
from
have
two,
to let-
essentially two lanes to one lane.
Right.
We're going- The entire thing is shut.
Here's a good example.
Yeah, so this is probably way too much detail than we need for the purposes of this meeting, but you can see there's different colors that show the time period of the different closures.
Complicated,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's complicated, but we're trying to, make this as accessible as possible. This is also only for the first year, so through the end of 2026. So you can see here, like, on the west side of the Esplanade, there's gonna be portions where the entire Esplanade is inaccessible to both cyclists and pedestrians during construction.
Yeah, and you can see we've got the signs out, you know, before you get to.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Oh, so we have the timeline. Do we have? all the-
Ish.
Well, this one
Yeah.
is, yeah,
Yes, so this is the more substantial construction that's gonna be happening, so, longer term, larger pieces of the neighborhood are gonna be under construction, so this is where we're putting in more substantial signage, and that the materials are sturdier and they're meant to be up longer term. So you can see there's different sign types, there's the pole mounted, there's the planter mounted for both pedestrians and for cyclists, and then there's the temporary barrier vinyl signs, which we're gonna still deploy. If we find that we need supplemental signage or something has changed temporarily, we can still deploy those.
yeah, but we're very excited about the planters actually, to be able to bring, some plants into, since pieces of the Esplanade will be closed, it's an opportunity to bring more plants into the streetscape. And Parks is committed to taking care of those.
Do we have a copy of this? It says, does everyone else have the timeline?
I don't have
This
it right.
great.
It's directed to the time.
And we- yeah.
Yes.
I think the time,
I didn't,
we can
Is this,
provide these slides. What I would say is, this is really like a signage diagram, and we're trying to show you that we're trying to think about all the different layers of people moving through the neighborhood, but the phasing, schedule that's on our website is like a clearer, representation of the project than this. This might have more questions than what's on the website shows it by
Yeah.
each
okay,
read.
so this is not more detailed than what's,
No, it's just telling you all the signs and what
Signage.
we're gonna put around.
More
Yeah,
detail on
Yeah. More details.
We-
Yeah.
The Arab team will take the phasing from the resilience project, we're
Yeah.
responding to that, we're not.
Which the contractor is still working through the logistics for the staging and phasing. So we're following them, what they're doing, but so this is just,
yeah.
it.
So we shouldn't take it as,
I wouldn't take it as a given, as a number. So we have here, but it's to illustrate that we are staging and phasing the signage to follow their staging and phasing. And we'll be very nimble with it.
And it shows.
And more signs than less signs.
yes, that's important.
yeah, the caveat there is always pending, permits and other things that are oftentimes beyond our control. That should work with started, so it's always caveated with, this is the timeline, we're gonna start earlier than we're saying, but there's chances that because things are beyond our direct control, it may start late. We might try and give you the best idea we have in the head. So more to come on precision with timing. This is just an idea that the signage will precede what happens, so folks have a sense that when they're walking around and we're not putting the signage up after stuff is already, people are already being moved around.
Sure.
That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah. So this is Art Bridge, which is an art program that's a nonprofit that works with the DOB fences. So the contractor will be putting up DOB, Department of Building fences around their construction areas. And we find this as an opportunity to actually bring artwork to those fences. So we're gonna be working with Art Bridge and the City Canvas program to do that. And we have, yeah, you can go to the next slide, sorry. We did this in the south, actually, and we're gonna be doing it in the Northwest, working with different schools, and different stakeholders, like, we are working with the Montessori school to, actually, Mimi's meeting with them tomorrow. They're gonna do some drawings and things like that, which we'll be putting on the fence that's near their school. Hopefully, like Stuyvesant can pitch in or be a part of the committee choosing the art near their school. So we're really trying to work with the stakeholders that are nearby.
We also wanted to highlight that as part of the resilience project, there are a number of existing public artworks that are going to be protected in place. So there'll be plywood barriers that are built around the artwork. Those are primarily intended to make sure that the artwork is fully protected and not damaged during construction, but they provide a secondary benefit, which is it's a canvas to put information on. And so what we are going to do is for each of the artworks, I'll just go back one slide. So you can see there's the Rector Gate, there's the torture benches in the waterfront plaza, the pylons, and then the pavilion. Each of these will have the plywood protected frame around it, and will print large information graphics that have a visual of the art piece, that has information about the project, the resilience project, the need for it, QR code to link to the website, and then there's already a wealth of information about each of these art pieces, both the artists, the design intent.
Some
And so there'll-
videos about them, yeah.
So there'll be information about each art piece and artist that's printed on this.
Can you tell me what you're going to do with the piece of the Berlin Wall?
Yeah, the Berlin Wall is going to be taken off-site and repaired, and then it will come back.
What's
When-
repaired?
It's restored, yeah, it's actually, there, it
starting
needs
to
a little bit of
crumble a
love,
bit, right?
actually, so we have somebody that will be restoring it.
Where will it be put when after you restore it?
We're still trying to figure out the right location for it. So that, we're still working through that, yeah.
So the next piece we're going to talk about are proposed improvements to the intersections, a number of intersections throughout Battery Park City, as well as streetscape improvements. So we've come and shared a bit about intersection improvements before. We are looking at a total of 19 different intersections, and you can see that some of these are highlighted in yellow, which we've identified as priority areas. So we would look to implement these earlier. So the types of improvements we're looking at, you can see on the top right there. So things like bike boxes, which are protected areas where cyclists can stop in front of traffic and get ahead of vehicular traffic at a intersection. A median refuge island, which is essentially putting a safe space for pedestrians to stop when they're crossing a crosswalk, especially longer crosswalks. And then curb extensions, where you take a piece of the street right of way and essentially give it back to the sidewalk, crosswalk to both prevent vehicles from parking in the crosswalks, and then just to provide additional space for people to shorten the crossing. We can also look, we're looking to add type of planners that we showed for the signage in those curb extensions. So the planners will be used for signage, but also where possible to put into those curb extensions and beautify them.
Christine?
Yeah.
So, okay, so where number one is, I believe that's down by Wagner, and that's Little West Street.
Mhm.
That area right there up until Second Place, that road from Battery Place to Second Place hasn't been redone or repaved ever since decades. Yeah, and there's a discussion right now going on whether whose responsibility that is, whether it's BPCA or the DOT, and I think we kind of have an answer on it, but I'm not sure. I would defer to Tammy on this. And Zach,
you might know.
and Betty, and Betty as well. I think we're kind of, right, there's a lot of finger pointing, but I was just want to add that it's incredibly unsafe right now. And we have a lot of people who have mobility issues within our building and also in the Wagner, and others, and it hasn't been repaired, and there's huge divots. So I would throw that out there when you're thinking of that. It's, causing injuries, people are falling. Yeah, so maybe that could be part of the improvement. And then the other thing I would add is now that you've opened up Wagner, which is great, we've had two major events. I happen to live right down here, so I witnessed this. The last one, Nick, the illumination event, right?
Yeah.
I actually went to go with my son and my dog, and I couldn't even get there. There were so many people. it was Times Square. This was 9 o'clock at night. There were cars parked on curbs. There's also, we have a real, because Wagner opened, we have a lot of people selling hamburgers, the carts and stuff, right? The halal carts are everywhere now. I couldn't go to the event. I couldn't even get in. There were so many people. And there's concerns about ambulances getting in, like should someone have been ill, God forbid, right? They wouldn't have been able to get in. So I know it's hard for me to understand like how they're gonna advertise or whatever, but this free event was attended by everyone in the 5 boroughs in Whittier, right?
Reminds me of the old Yogi Berra line, it's no one goes there anymore, it's too crowded.
Yeah.
It was a great event, the first complaint I heard, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
we've gotten nothing but positive feedback except for that, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I can show you the WhatsApp chat. Yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot of people, they were very concerned, and it was the other one too that you had before. And.
The white
Forgive me.
dinner,
There
yeah.
you go. The dinner, yeah. Also, huge amount of traffic coming in from other places, cars everywhere, and residents unable to move. I could not walk my dog, and I'm not kidding. It was really full, and we need traffic direction. Like if for an event like that, you need to have someone, particularly if you're gonna put more construction, like where people should park and such.
Okay, I can take it back to the events team.
Hasn't that been done before? I mean, we've had big events before.
It's been
Hasn't there been a management of the traffic and, whether it's the ambassadors out there or some extra people that come on board to keep
Yeah, I mean,
it safe?
The
Or are we just getting way more publicity with
ambassadors
Wagner
are traffic
opening?
management agents, but we can take it back to the events team to make sure that when events like this happen in the future, there's the appropriate resource.
And when
We
there's,
had like porta potties brought in, we had as a condition of the permits, these places always had to be open for people to walk through and around. It is a public park, sometimes there are big events, but nonetheless, we want to make sure that to the extent it's impacting people's lives who live here, we're doing our best to minimize the impact.
You may want to go to one of them. Obviously, you wouldn't know where they're gonna advertise. I don't know if they did a Groupon or, I mean, it was free, right? But
Free events,
As
all the events.
TikTok must have got it. I don't
Yeah.
expect this for the moth. I don't expect it,
Yeah.
I live over there and I've been over and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it was extraordinary.
Betty.
Yeah.
It's like to point out that some of these events which are good, people like me can't go to them. It is a shame that the people who live there have to avoid all these events with the BBC and so on. And so maybe the event team should consider some things that are smaller that maybe the people who live there participate, rather than everybody who doesn't.
And just as an aside, I know that the Allied Universal folks don't do traffic mitigation, but things that you can ask for in the event planning team is that they hire traffic
Sure.
mitigation, and then they have to do that and figure out where people are gonna go. But I know we talked about it in this committee in the past around Convene, and Convene is doing things, how you have indications saying use public transit, where people are gonna park, or taking cars where they line up.
Yeah.
And having a little more, planning beforehand, because Wagner Park it's open, it's big, it's beautiful, you guys are advertising it, and, people will come. So we have to figure that people are.
Yeah, it's popular, the illumination is quite popular. Last year, remember, we did it, it was split, it was at the Oculus.
Yes.
And then at SNR Plaza, that area.
Yes.
This year it was just in Wagner. But yeah, good notes all around. We can take it back and see, you want to try to
And
have
then,
people enjoy it, but also not unduly impact people who are trying to pass.
and
through.
you can push it on the people who want to use the space, which makes sense. Yeah.
And then the question about the Little West Street, I know that stretch from the Battery up right in front of like 2 West Street. We've been back and forth. DOT has paved it before, so I'm in conversations with them, but it's
They have it. They come by every year and they fill it in and they, little.
Yeah, it helps the top.
well, no, I'm saying, so but DOT fills it, right? So that, okay.
Yeah, but it's a mess. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's just spots and holes and
We can flag it again for
a
DOT.
lot of kids cross it, yeah.
Well, can I ask, what happens when they build and repave the whole north end? Which a lot of those are Battery Park City streets, they've never been turned over to New York City. Some agreement must have been reached then, because they did Warren Street, they did River Terrace, they did Murray Street. But it must be some past precedent to
I think it was just on their paving and milling schedule. I know the issue you're referring to, which is technically some streets technically have been deeded back yet, but I think in most cases, not an attorney, but I've been doing it enough to know that I think in most cases, it's a distinction without a difference, like technically they haven't been deeded back, but it's not like we set the
I
speed
mean,
limit
they
there.
still
It's a
plow,
city
right?
street.
The city
Plow the
plows.
streets, they
Yeah.
set the speed limit.
Problem with-
Yeah, the city streets.
Over and over.
So
Right.
we will pay them again, because I
Yeah.
was down there, while I took a walk. It's not great.
So I have a,
And they do it periodically, but it needs a full.
I have a question about the intersection, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you gonna go into them in detail, or is this it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Go to the next slide.
Oh.
Thank you.
A little bit. We're gonna go into one of
Yeah, not.
Fair, so both.
them. An example.
So the way we're gonna treat these is really focusing on highlighting these different intersection improvements, meaning that we're gonna be using low cost, easy implementable treatments, things like epoxy gravel, flexible delineator bollards and planters. These are very typical types of treatments that are used throughout New York City. New York City DOT uses these on their doing plaza projects and sidewalk expansion projects. So these are things that can be done quite quickly, and they can also be adjusted based on feedback. So if we're finding that, these are not offering the types of improvements that we are looking for, we can make adjustments to these. These are designed to be flexible, respond to that types of changes.
And I'll just add that we're working closely with DOT on these intersections and the ones that are along 9A with the state DOT. So we're working closely with them and are still working through the concepts. And so would hope to return to you at a later date when we have refined designs for those. But we want to get together with our agency partners to make sure that we're all comfortable proposing items and making sure that it's in line with their standards. And so we're still in the design stage here and in conversations with DOT and state DOT.
So the ones along Battery Place here that were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatever, are they all curb extensions that you're contemplating with those particular ones?
That's right.
Justine,
Yeah, I do. So, okay, so they're all curb extensions,
I think 10 is a bike box,
Yeah.
right?
and it's all. But that's also a South End Avenue too, or no, 6?
Okay.
South
Six.
End and 9, South End.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because right now, I had the joy of having to sit with alternate side of the street parking this morning as, in a parked car, two-way traffic, parked car, and the school must have had a fire drill, because they all came out. So, I mean, traffic was blocked for a good half hour. And, I mean, again, I don't care, I'm sitting there anyway, but, it's a lot. And with the curb extensions, you're only gonna be coming out to where the parked cars are, so you're not taking any of the active street. What happens if you're on a bike and you're in the street, you get to the curb extension, can you go through that? Or you have to go out into the street to come through it?
You typically can weave through it, but you shouldn't need to because it's only as far out as.
The parking spot.
Yeah,
Okay, so there should be space in front of it
Yeah,
before you hit a
exactly.
car, hits it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's good. Yes. Betty and her hand up, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just wondering that, I like the idea very much, and one of the big strengths of these temporary, because it's gonna go up a Canal Street as well. Okay, so you can do a lot of things and you can kind of tweak them. To ever make it permanent, or is this a permanent temporary? kind of-
We would,
Yeah.
the intent is to study this, as we see how people react and how does it work, and then we may be able to go more permanent with some of them with, hardscape.
And the reason I asked was the question that just came up. And bikes and others just cut across it because it is all fine.
Right.
And so, that's one that's.
We're trying to not allow that with the planters and things like that to block and not encourage people we don't want bikes cutting across. Yeah.
Marion.
So the previous slide showed flexible delineators, which are these white plastic things
Yes,
that come
yeah.
up 3 feet.
Yeah.
Trucks back over them,
Then they're
flatten
done.
them out.
Yeah.
No, they're not gone. They're a trip hazard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because they're flat on the ground, but there's room underneath to catch your foot.
Yeah.
So that's gotta be addressed promptly if, when it happens.
Yeah.
Or maybe avoid using them,
Yeah.
where people
Use a
might
planter.
be crossing a street on foot.
Well, this is where also too, as speaking with DOT, we can also say like, what has worked well, like in the Flatiron area where they, you know, made more pedestrian
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
What do you wish you knew then, that you know now, that we can take advantage of as soon as we can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, so with all these curb extensions, have we, I know we had asked it at one point, I don't know if we have it yet for this today, but how many parking spaces are we losing?
So that's what we're working through right now, and we're going to, you know, tell you and have in conversation about what they are, but this is what we're in the process right now. How big does this work? How much space is it? Is it different if we use a smaller, flexible delineator than do we need for planters? Do we need a larger space? Is that a trade-off like we're comfortable with?
And any interference with entries, exits, move in, move out, delivery trucks, what's that gonna do?
Yeah, we're looking at all of those things.
But I
Trucks
always
are
think of your
major.
comment on
Yes.
stains, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah, those kind of a nightmare, and
Yeah.
and sadly, the median, it's used.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you on that.
That would be a big
They
trouble.
moved away
Yeah, I
from that
know.
one really fast.
Totally blocked.
Yeah, I mean, following when we
Yeah.
brought that, like in the spring, Justine, we then did sort of move away from that initial
Okay.
plan
Yeah,
for your highlighting of that, you know, building having a back, so that.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions on that?
Anybody online?
No.
So we also want to give details on
Oh,
a
Tammy
few.
handed them.
Yeah, Tammy, go ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm trying to be quiet. And I didn't want to disturb the flow that's going on. The flexible delineators and the planters, do you have a ratio that you're looking at for how to use that on top of the epoxy and the gravel? Because one of the concerns that I want to make sure obviously is accessibility for people crossing the street. And that it's very difficult if the planters are so close to the sidewalk, if you have a ton of strollers who are crossing, going to the school back and forth, it tends to create a little bit of a backup, which may not be great. And how are the curb bump outs reflected to the curb cuts?
So I would say there's not a hard and fast rule about the ratio for planters. There is typically a dimension for the flexible delineators. I don't recall the distance between them, but the whole intention is to really make sure that there is an accessible and clear path for pedestrians. So we're very much not looking to obstruct, the crosswalk. So we want to put a planter where there's a curb cut or where there's a crosswalk.
And we also don't want the planters to create a barrier, a block, another barrier that people can't see the kids or can't see someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll
That's
put them
actually,
in.
that's why I was
Yeah.
mentioning it specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it brings up another point, on the north side more than on the south side. A lot of the curb cuts are actually on the very corner.
Mm.
They're not going north-south, they're not going east-west, they're on the very corner. How do you orient these improvement areas? Do you kind of orient them toward the direction that people want to go? Or you truly center them on the curb cut that is there, which isn't the direction people are going to
I mean,
go?
we may actually need to put different curb cuts in, which is part of what we're working with DOT to figure out. Yeah.
But now that's confusing enough, and I know traffic always looks at me like I'm
Yeah.
crazy. Where are you going? And, well, I'm just following the curb cut.
Yeah.
It's walk this way, but I know going that way, and that way. it's-
Yeah.
well,
So that's part of it. We may
And then-
have to reconstruct the curb cuts as a part of this.
And then I wanted to I wanted to continue and ask a couple other questions about this. We've had actually, a woman pass from trying to cross in between sections 8 and 9 that you have listed here. And I'm a little distressed that it's not a priority reviewed intersection and it's listed as other, simply because at that particular that block in itself has been something that we've asked for mediation, we've asked for many things. So it's a little disappointing at best to see that. In addition, at section 11, which is the end of Albany Street, we actually had the parent coordinator from PSIS 276 hit by a car crossing the street there. And so that section I find, again, a little sad that it's not a higher priority. We already have a slow zone coming in for sections 2, 3, 4, and 5. So my question is, are those sections being prioritized due to the fact that we now have Wagner as, such a strong event venue, and you're driving tourism and traffic and public events there, which is one thing. But knowing that we had a woman die between 8 and 9, and we've had people hit crossing the street at Albany, significantly so, I would ask, especially because even though 10 is what 10 is, there is a pedestrian walkway over there where there is not at 11. So
We can
I would-
reprioritize. This is good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I had, the
And I
10
would
is a
say-
relatively short crossing.
yeah.
Yes, it
Because
is.
it has a natural, refuge in the middle, whereas 11,
Does not.
I mean, it does have the refuge, but it's a much longer crossing.
Yeah, so we can swap those out pretty easily. And the thinking was that we are starting construction in the south, the southern part of the Northwest project. And there are schools, and this is very residential in this area, so that was the thinking about prioritizing this zone. But we can switch out some of
Yeah,
the.
because the whole thing, the whole south is residential.
Yeah.
So we hit all until.
Yeah.
And you have Gateway Plaza with a
Mhm.
massive amount of people constantly,
Yeah.
thousands and thousands every day, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider that non-residential.
Yeah,
I mean, that said, 8, 9, and 11 are probably the 3 of the most difficult ones to do something that doesn't make the problem worse, but.
Yeah.
You have so many
The last is
buses
worth
too,
looking at.
I mean.
yes,
and-
yeah.
And the taxi line and.
I mean,
there's a lot.
it's just whatever we can do. The flexible delineators were used at 12, not the delineators. The DOT had put down a bump out on 12 that has never lasted longer than 2 weeks there. It gets completely run over. So
Yeah.
that's not, so,
Well,
those,
but it's helped that intersection though, so something that would be a little more permanent
Yeah.
might work.
And then-
Turns.
I apologize, I have one more question. When you're looking at the intersections 10, 1, 10, 11, 12, and going all along, every intersection that has an intersection between the Greenway and an intersection, would you be looking at putting potential things like pavement treatments to slow the bicyclists down, to be able to have them follow the stop and the stop, and doing anything that would highlight to a greater degree the difference between what is the bike path and what is a pedestrian area?
Yeah, Tammy, that's part of that conversation we've all been having with the DOT about the 9A
Yep.
improvements. Yeah. And so
I-
we are trying to work with them on these intersections to see if we could jumpstart some of that work that they are planning on doing in their bigger project. So that's the intent with all of those. We put them on there and said, hey, state DOT, we would like to work with you and start some of this work now. Which includes what you're talking about, like slowing the
Yep.
bikes down.
And then at intersection 1, I know this isn't a DOT issue necessarily, but we have ticket hawkers that are there that pull people literally out of cars and pull cars through the traffic lights and pull them into Little West Street there. I have videos. I mean, it's a well-documented area in need. So whatever you're gonna do over by one needs to, I assume you're not gonna do anything now because you're waiting till you're done on the other side of the street.
Yeah, that one's, we still have construction happening down there. Yeah.
But I would counsel and say that I mean, I personally wouldn't care if you got the Downtown Alliance, which has a nice kiosk over there and a gentleman standing there. But I mean, we need a little bit more than that. You know what I mean? Whether Allied's gonna monitor Pier A and they have a booth across the street, I don't know, but you have to figure something out as a way to protect the public in a way that's
Tammy,
not
I
happening.
haven't seen the Downtown Alliance there for weeks.
Oh, down there.
Yeah,
Uh,
they haven't been there for a long time. I don't know what they're doing, but when did
I
you
don't-
see them?
I saw him in August. So, I mean, it's October, but I had a picture.
Yeah.
It's a move. He has a movable kiosk. I don't know whether he was asked to go anywhere else. I mean, we can certainly check, but in terms of pedestrian circulation, when we're taking a look at these intersections, it is not only bicyclists and cyclists, it's also that kind of behavior and activity of the illegal ticket sellers that needs to be addressed. And lastly, Nick, we all know that Little West Street now is under the BPCA purview. What's going on with getting that repaved?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually DOT, is what you're saying.
It is.
But if you're-
It is.
If you're new
Mhm.
news, that's. Okay. Wasn't in the past, but if it's changed, we can, try to identify the right step at DOT and figure it out.
So I sent you and Patrick and I think Ryan might have been on that email. We got the confirmation from the map guy for Manhattan that BPCA owns that street. And it's only a matter of obviously discussion as to whether BPCA paves it or for DOT, whatever the case is, but it desperately needs to get done before the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse and worse.
Yeah, we just discussed before we joined, like technically BPCA owns the streets in the north, but that hasn't stopped DOT from paving and milling in the past, so it may be a bureaucratic discussion to be unraveled. But I will take it back and see if we can find some
That-
resolution to it.
That would be great. We'd also obviously love if Allied did a little bit more robust enforcement in that area. Because the ticket hawkers are not allowed to sell on state land, they're not licensed on state property, and they're not licensed in the park either. So,
And there's an encampment there. I mean, there's at least 5 guys every single day. They leave
Yep.
trash everywhere. And
Yeah.
that's probably why Tammy, the Downtown Alliance person, moved. I would move. It's horrible. They wave people off. I take oftentimes an Uber, from Whole Foods because they don't deliver anymore or whatever. But anyhow, any Uber we come around the corner, they always flag you and the Uber gets very confused. They stop suddenly because they think something's wrong. It's bad.
yeah,
and
they're
then
wearing
today-
they're traffic vests. It's
Yeah,
not good.
so they think they're legit. Yeah,
They're
yes, it's bad. And they are on state property.
Okay. So, let's take, so. There we go. No.
Pretty cloudy.
So we've shared, previously, we've discussed some of these projects, so I just wanted to provide a brief update. So for the North Avenue Park, we are still proceeding with concept refinement and stakeholder engagement. So the design process is ongoing, and we expect to begin implementations sometime next year. So, and we'll provide an update as the concept develops this project. We also have previously shared with this
Could you
group-
go back one slide? I apologize.
Sure.
It went quite fast for me. What I don't see on there is the conversation that we had about providing spaces, ensuring that there are still spaces, that we are not programming everything, providing opportunities for mass seating, and that there are still quiet spaces for people who need, to cater to all users.
Yep, that's a great point. And I should have mentioned that, yes, we've talked to the high school, we've gotten input about types of uses that high school students might be interested in, but we've also talked to residents on other sides of the park and trying to get input and exactly that, make a space that is appealing to a diversity of users, a diversity of ages of users, that includes both quiet spaces and program spaces and tries to find the right balance.
Thank you.
Are you gonna talk about the other, and other street ends too, or not just this one?
We have an update on West Street
Okay.
lighting and then on Murray Street Triangle. So we previously shared a concept for the West Street lighting improvements. We heard your feedback and have taken a different approach. So previously it was much more about using multicolored LEDs for placemaking. Here we've chosen a single polymer palettes that's really focused on just improving lighting to enhance safety, make it more pleasant and accessible for people to walk. We have a few different approaches that we're looking at. One is a treatment that can be fastened safely without harming the trees directly to the trees. It's essentially wraps it without needing to put a nail or anything into the actual tree. We're also looking at a cantilever lighting system that's similar to what's been implemented in Wagner. As part of this, we've looked at our lighting team here at Arup has done initial studies that look at impacts to the flora and fauna that's in this neighborhood. So there's a few kind of best practices that we can use to minimize impacts to plants and animals. So things like making sure that we're only using the light that's needed to achieve the goal for improving safety. There are certain light spectrums that are more friendly towards birds, for example. And so, this is a series of best practices that we will look to implement to minimize the impact to any of the animals that live on the trees here. We also wanted to provide a brief update on Murray Street Triangle. So we're in a similar place to North End Avenue where we are progressing the design concept and continuing stakeholder engagement. The idea is still essentially the same, where we would close the south side of Murray Street Triangle to through traffic. It would still be open for access to the building's loading docks, but would, by removing through traffic on the south side, you enhance the connection to the open space in the actual triangle, to the crosswalk there on the east side of the park. It just makes for a safer pedestrian crossing. It also allows for some additional programming that's in the street right of way there. We would then make the north side of the park two-way. This would require relocating at least one bus stop to the east park. But otherwise, yeah, we're continuing to progress the concept here and we'll look to begin construction of this in 2027. Yes.
Yes. Any other question?
Can you go back to the lighting? I just want to make sure that people understand exactly what we're talking about and we go back because it's right. So I appreciate that there was a lot of discussion from people who lived in the neighborhood that they were not looking for, I think you said it was in front of the church, like and you were looking at lighting that was similar to the treatment that they did on the plaza outside Notre Dame.
Yes.
And we had, you heard a lot of conversation back of that's not what we're looking for. When you're showing this, I'm asking again because that lighting seems far more bright and more commercially relevant than the residential neighborhood normally is. And I want to ask, based on the feedback that we got at the last one, right? Of course, no offense intended, you're going to ensure existing lights are in working order. Come on. That's part of regular R&M and that's what's, a normal thing to be done. But what I want to make sure is that the feedback that the community had given prior, that in any area, that the areas that were dark should be enhanced, but areas that were fine should not be overlit. And the slide that you show does seem to be a very strongly lit location to the point that the buildings on the other side, which I believe would be the Millennium, maybe if I get that, my placemaking correct. That's like lighting up a commercial plaza across the street from the residential building is what it looks like. So I'm just asking for clarity on that, please.
I mean, the intent on this was to light up the areas that are dark now.
Yes.
And so, because the pedestrian walkway does not have any light on it right now, the bike path does. So the bike path is where a lot of pedestrians end up walking. And so our intent was to put lights where there are no lights now.
And I'd add, Tammy, if you remember the earlier slides where we saw them side by side, this was the dimmest one.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
We can
Timmy's
dim
point
down.
is not
Yeah.
valid.
We could go down again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they get dimmer too, but that could be something, is that something that's possible? We can make them,
Well,
within the
Yes.
if it's too bright, we could make it less bright.
yes.
Yeah, these lighting systems,
Uncontrollable.
they're controllable, exactly, yeah. So the intent right now is to really try and find some different fixture approaches that would be appropriate and have kind of match the intention here, but yeah, the actual lighting, once the system is installed, can be adjusted to the right.
And that looks like the picture is on the floor, but it's a picture on it, right? It's pattern, right?
Oh, well, it's coming through the trees.
Yeah.
So there's
Okay, it's not a
basically,
real pattern. It's-
yeah, we're basically saying we're lighting
Through the
down
trees.
light through the trees. So you have kind of dappled light effect
Mhm.
and it's not this intense like pool of light.
Yeah, I think our basic point here is that light for safety, but not a bright light.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
I bet you that you're.
I have no problem with brightness at all, so I'm a little amazed that people are making some time. But given the picture on the bottom, are people who are saying that it's too bright, really talking about that kind of dimness is still too bright?
I interpret Tammy's comments,
Yeah.
just comparison to some of the earlier.
Yeah, some of the earlier ones, we were really
Yeah,
popping.
no, Right,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want
Or
to shut them down.
We were placemaking with lights
Yeah.
before and now we're not.
We heard that was not the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Yeah.
And just to understand that
Tammy, 1 second.
Yep.
So I just want to ask, the people who are saying it's still too bright, are they really referring even to that bottom picture?
No,
Because I don't find it too bright at all.
yeah, because existing now, it's bright right in that little spot, but then it dissipates.
Yeah.
So it's
Too dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's not too bright at all, kind of
I
needed.
think what we're saying is we just don't want it like really bright lit up.
You don't
because
want a
there's-
party.
There's residential.
Yes.
But it's, as long
What
as,
we're looking at when you're saying.
it shouldn't go
Someone
into
just saying,
windows.
So this is, I mean,
Oh, is
it's
this
a
successful?
mock-up, but I mean, you're not, can't judge that this is gonna be the light by
Yeah.
this, can we?
No.
No, I mean, this is just some sort of
Yeah, I don't think.
illustrative
This is
pedestrian
right,
path
we're just-
lightning
There you go.
concept.
That's what it is.
we're-
But we
yeah,
can
we
go
don't
out
need to
and
be
tweak
saying
it by
that.
dimming it
I
and
mean,
like,
saying- yeah, because I had, when you did Wagner, it was facing in my bedroom and I didn't sleep that night because it's a strobe light.
but then
So,
they
I mean, you
did,
just
right?
have to understand, people live here, so.
I think they have our.
Quick question though, is Uncle Solar?
We were just talking about that actually.
That'd be great if they were.
Sarah and I were talking about that today.
Yeah.
So we're still exploring like what kind of fixture do we have and can it be solar?
I hope so.
'Cause that would be amazing, right? Because then we don't have to actually put any conduit to it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we're,
You'd be
We're thinking-
surprised how much light solar little things.
yeah, they actually last like
And they-
all night.
Yeah, they,
Um,
so.
So it's
These are
possible.
well, mostly dull, sunny areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't even need a lot of sunlight to get the solar to be
So I'm
charged,
hoping that
so.
that's the key, that you could try that first.
Yeah.
Tim, is your hand still up?
I put it back up. I just wanted to
Okay.
explain, my point of my question was to ensure that, I think since there were so many open questions before, that we closed that loop and that we had given the opportunity for the BPCA to confirm that they were not looking to do placemaking with lighting, because that was
That's right.
widely, right? And I just needed to be able to hear that, so people don't say things like, did you get an answer? And I go, I don't think I did. So this is wonderful, and I wanted to say thank you very much. And can I see the slide on the bats? Which is the next one.
That's next
I
one,
would
yeah.
love to show you this one. This is director stability. Great.
Yeah.
It's it's making sure that the engagement that we had last time, finding out to make sure that we're all on the same page going forward. That's it. I mean, it's simple.
Whoops. Sorry, we're having a technical difficulties.
Nope, it's going the wrong way. Ooh, bats. Bats and birds.
This was the other item that at the last meeting, there were questions about flora and fauna and its relationship to the lighting, so I wanted to make sure that you knew that we were paying attention and asking for this level of information and design.
Great, thank you.
So I guess from my purposes, I'd want to know how this relates as you're going up, because as you come up West Street and you pass Albany and you get into the commercial zone, and then you get from commercial to where the ball fields are, the lighting there is extraordinarily different in terms of the buildings and the bird hits and things like that. So I'd like to see some coordination and understanding of how your lighting plan works with the buildings, the commercial buildings and their lighting, and then also the ball field. And I think that coordination is going to be really important, especially as we go along and things are very different and disturbed on the water side. So, and are these lighting streets for West Street then looking to be potentially in other areas? Are you using it as a format for maybe the South Cove and other places, and how that works?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Would you agree that this is something that we're gonna try and see how it is?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the feedback is positive, it's
Yeah.
certainly something we could look to implement elsewhere.
Okay.
So, back to Murray Street. So yes, just to close the loop on Murray Street, as I was saying, we're focused now on concept refinement and stakeholder engagement. So talking with property owners and residents and businesses that are immediately adjacent to the park, and also engaging with DOT and get their feedback on this concept.
This is probably my favorite when it's being done.
Oh, I'm glad.
But
Yeah.
out of curiosity, what kind of treatments are you looking to make it clear that local traffic can go to loading zones, but others aren't coming through? Because that's always the issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's gonna be a mixture of signage, certainly. Signage on North End Avenue. We are still developing the exact treatment, like how to make sure it's clear that no vehicles can come in there, but
And we've had initial conversations with Conrad, since that's their loading dock, and talking with them about like what type of closure that is, who has control, or how they could be involved in opening it for deliveries, so
We could change the
We have-
color of
yeah.
pavement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they get some, it's within a boost to them too, don't they?
Yes, everything for that wedding. So we're talking about turning radiuses.
But remember, the hotel is right there
That's-
and there are so many Ubers and taxis and that kind of car there. They do what they want, when they want, how they want.
Exactly.
So
So we're still in the design of determining what that closure there looks
Yeah.
at the top of North End Avenue and like, maybe we decide it's like more pronounced, or we try something in, in the conversation with once they're determined what's the most important.
Yeah, and we will have to do a traffic study through that area. DOT is gonna make us do that, and especially since we're moving the bus stop and things like that. So they're helping us, they're working with us.
because it's very, very busy right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
Which bus stop?
there is a bus stop. Yeah, there's
So
one
that
there.
one you would not need to relocate.
It's
on
it's the
south
one,
side.
there's a little blue dot on the south, yeah. Just the
Yeah.
plan south.
Those are city buses, not the.
yeah, but Goldman Sachs has a lot of their people movers for their events parked there.
Yeah.
And actually, I've spoken to the cop on duty
Sorry.
about, because the
That's
kids
the-
are trying from the park and it blocks the view.
Is
And
that
that's
is that the M22?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea is that we're actually shortening the crosswalk. Yeah, and you don't have this complicated two-part crosswalk that we currently have.
So
With
would-
cars,
What does the MTA say about because the M22 used to go straight down North End Avenue, take the left on Vesey and have its last stop there facing the other direction. It currently comes down this street, which was a change made within the last 10 years, to then go south on West Street and take a right on Vesey traveling west as its final stop. So what route are you suggesting for the MTA?
So it would be the same route, in that they would just go on the north side of the park. And then the bus stop would move to the block
down.
east of the crosswalks, down.
So lower on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there space there? Because there's a Goldman Sachs loading dock at that point in between the Goldman Alley and West Street. They have a loading dock there as well.
Yeah, there is sufficient space there, but yeah, we can certainly show that in the next time we review.
And no buses are gonna go down the closed shared street, right?
No,
No.
No, that's,
Okay.
they would go on
they're
the,
going on the
Yeah.
two-way.
Go on the two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you come back and present, it would be great to have the bus labeled so people really
Yeah.
understand. And you have to show where you're proposing it to go. And we know that Goldman has loading docks over there as well. So is it west of their loading dock or east of their loading dock, and how that engages with the crosswalks there? And the
Yeah.
bike path?
So I will say that we did note on here that we expect to spend a year designing this. So 2026 is, it's because it's complicated and we have to go through so many, we have to coordinate with so many different city agencies and things like that. So our expectation is, we know it's gonna take a little while to figure all this stuff out. But we will come back to you.
And I would say that's time well spent, because like Betty, although this is not my favorite of the projects, it's one of my favorite. I think that park right there is very underutilized, and the crosswalk is very dangerous and is often used by children. And so, spending time to make this better is worth the effort.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind, especially when there's soccer games and after
Mhm.
school, there's so many. And
There's
I
so
was-
many people crossing there, yeah.
I was so angry with those, people movers blocking the view, so you couldn't see if the light was red or green to cross. So,
I don't know what a people mover
oh,
is.
it's a
I'm
van
sorry.
when, someone Goldman Sachs had
Oh.
like
They,
vans there for
I
events.
see, I see.
They
Yeah,
call
they
people
blocked
movers and
there.
So yes, it's
Okay.
it's their event vans.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're golf vans.
is, can you, when you do the Murray Street, when you do Murray Street, would you be able
Yeah.
to bring back to us some kind of analysis on how that improves specifically North End Avenue with the placards? And because they're parked all over Murray and they're parked on North End, and how you anticipate the backing up of traffic on North End Avenue from the security gate, whether it will have any positive impacts on that. I don't think so, but those tend to be the two most flagrant curb lane violators in the north. I mean, they block the bus stop in front of the library, which is at the end of the block.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it,
we will.
thank you.
Just on next steps, so as we mentioned, we'll be rolling out the signage piece, site finding, along with the site readiness work. We are continuing to engage with New York City DOT and our state DOT on intersection improvements. And then we are advancing the design efforts and continuing our engagement with stakeholders and other members of the community on the other projects that we mentioned.
So, Joe,
So speaking about that last item, and I think this is the right group to talk to. There's one thing you guys are aware of, the community, the residents in Battery Park City still do not understand the scope of this project. And when they find out, they are very surprised, they are shocked, and they are frustrated. And this is the postcard that was sent out to tell the residents, right? All about it. And one of the things we discussed is it's all been nice and nice. And what do you think about the design? And this is going to be so great. But what the residents need to know is the 5-year disruption and construction and how that is going to affect their living in Battery Park City. Building a more resilient neighborhood one day at a time doesn't get through the message, which, and I did do the math, is 1,825 consecutive days of construction, which is a little different than one day at a time. The other thing is, okay, look at this, it's like, oh yeah, of course I want a more resilient, a neighborhood. And I'm not gonna save this postcard because I've never saved this single postcard ever. Where am I going to put it? When am I gonna remember? That aside, oh, well, guess what? I do want to learn more. So now I have to make an effort to do this. And as you can see, when I was trying to find the map you told me, it's impossible to do this here. So this takes me to this great thing, this great page here. And yeah, when you do that, all about it. Do I want to know more about it? Yeah, because I want to know how it affects me. Okay, this isn't telling me, the other page isn't telling me, I'm going and going, and I still just know how great it's gonna be.
In the end.
In the end. So if you're like me and you're here searching, and history and mission really isn't that important to me, but I appreciate that it's important to other people. Finally, you get to FAQs. And then you have to click again on more information because there's nothing there. And then it starts with how all these different, in other words, folks, what I'm saying is it's impossible from this type of information for the residents, and maybe people disagree with me, so please speak up, to understand the scope and scale and effect of this project. Now, I did notice at the block party, something else I was at, the nice little carts with, the guy, or person standing there, to really talk about resiliency. So at the Battery Park City event, the neighborhood event, he ran out of handout sheets within the first hour. So anyone who came by to talk, there's still no map or picture of how this is going to affect you. It's all this positive. We all want resiliency. We all want a beautiful, safe, you know, climate-proof neighborhood. People have to be informed, and one day at a time is not informing them.
So you're saying you got the postcard?
Yeah.
Well, you will be happy to know that we just had a lengthy discussion today, but leading up, following numerous conversations, we're gonna be doing another round of postcards. And it is going to have, now that we have some more finalized detail about the schedule
Staging and
coming
phasing.
soon, and staging and phasing, which will have hopefully a map or some type of representation to let folks know what to expect, and when. I do think we have to try and stay positive about it, but we do want to make sure that we're not hiding the ball.
One other thing I want to add, one other thing I want to add up for this here too, if you go up to the neighborhood reaches and areas, it does have the timelines
Yeah,
and
right.
maps and
When you-
images
when you
showing.
scan that,
So when you
there's
go
a-
there, it's there.
Yeah, there's a presentation that shows every portion of the project.
It's so hard to get to,
Well,
and this
I
is,
think,
that's
yeah,
yeah.
one of the things you're demonstrating there, Jill, is that the website on the computer is navigating, that is one thing. Navigating on the phone, which is what people are going to be using
But
when
that
they scan these codes, is something else. And so the navigation really does need to be fine, especially as we're finding all these QR codes everywhere. People are gonna be using their phones, and yes, they want to know why all of this is going on, and I think it's very important to say why and the positive aspects, but they also want to know how's it going to affect my
Yes.
day-to-day life in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 5 years, kind of thing, and that needs to be communicated.
And to your point, I fully agree with Jeff. And one thing that we'll be doing as more construction comes online and as we've started to get more information, we are also going to be updating those decks and updating that base information. So like these things are coming. The current version of the website you see is not like a final, like it's made to be updated and be given more information. And if you have criticism that helps us build a better website, like we want to hear that. So
Okay, I'm not a website designer and don't wanna be. I want my community that we're sitting here representing to understand the impact and the scope of what you are
I get
doing.
that.
This does not do that.
I'm sorry you feel that way. We really have tried to put together something to show people what's going on and we'll continue to update. If there's things that we can, but there specifically, like, let me know those things. I hear what you're saying about the full time frame, which,
But I think, you know, were you on the call with Gateway Plaza? Which
Yes.
also the second call was supposed to happen in September, and I understand it hasn't happened.
Right, yeah, we're gonna start this.
Did you hear people's reaction?
yes, I was on,
People were shocked.
I understand that's a
People
big
had
project.
no concept of the scope of the project.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, letting people know.
I have to agree. You ask people and they, like, you're like,
Christine,
that's okay, let her, I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'll. I agree that I think that I understand why you would want to put a positive twist on it, okay? But the fact is that you really got to lay out the facts for people, like you're not, because no one knows about it. I still tell people, you know, Pump House Park's gonna be gone. What? What do you mean? I thought it was gonna, you know, and people sit there every day. I mean, you guys, I almost wish, this is what I wish you would do. I wish you would do a walking tour like you did before about the walls that you're gonna build, but I wish you would do a walking tour and say, this entire park is gonna be gone. And you're gonna hear buzzsaws for a month of all the trees being hacked down. I wish you would do that because people, I mean, you will start getting your, you know, your email box will be full. People don't know. They don't know. They don't know. And if this truly needs to be done, you owe them that.
We will continue to use every lever at our disposal to make sure people, there are people who know. Go ahead, Justine.
If I may.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I hear everything that they're saying, and they're right, and I really like the exercise that Jill just did to go find it, because that tells you
Yes.
something. No one's gonna get beyond the first location, and they're not even gonna find the facts. So basically, having the timeline as the first thing you come to,
Yes.
I think makes sense. I also understand from your perspective, you don't necessarily want to couch a walking tour and looking at Christine presenting it, because people are going to hurt you. And, you know, and that's not fair either, because there's a reason that you're doing this. You're not doing this just because you hate trees or you want to knock them all down or whatever.
Yeah.
You're doing this for the purpose of resiliency, as it says there, but people do need to understand the impact. And part of the impact is the timeline. And I think that it's really important that when you have your clear approach, you're going to go to the timeline. And I do think we need to do walking first. I like that again. I'd like to get stuff set up where we do a tour for the South neighborhood. We do a tour, and not just for Gateway Plaza. Well, I need to know what's happening in Gateway Plaza, even though I don't live there.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
No,
I want to
just
do a
leave it.
tour in that area. The North needs to know what's going on, because I gotta tell you, it's so long, I don't know what the hell the long's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be on North Bend Avenue, at the buildings, I don't remember. Let's go talk about it again, just as a refresher, because I know it's not happening tomorrow, but it's going to happen. So these are the things that we should do, and it should be open to the public. We should have everybody invited,
Yeah.
as you did last time, and we should get out there. And, you know, it's okay to say this is going to be closed for a period of time, but then we're gonna open it. And the more you can give them, and you'll see the feedback, I think you'll understand a little bit about when we say how important staging is.
Yes.
People are gonna freak about that, they're gonna wanna get there. And I think some of this stuff, you will have some control over it in terms of as you're doing it. And I think that when you see the visceral reaction of the people, you know, you're gonna get that. But I also appreciate that, you know, you're not gonna be sitting there and shooting yourself in the foot either. But you gotta tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
People moving in have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Tammy, you have your hand up.
I do. I also want to go back to saying I think and appreciate the response on September 30th to the letter that we sent in August regarding the lighting and the seating and things like that. So thank you, Claudia, very much. I will say I'm disappointed that the one thing we asked from the very start, the very, very, very start of this project was that uses be continued. So for example, if there was a ton of seating in a particular area, not reducing the seating, keeping the level of seating. In many places that was done, but when the construction manager said to us last month that the treatments at Albany Street for where the tide gate was a design decision, and that we couldn't have seating, which is the one place other than the gaming, like the chess tables, is the one place that had seating in the residential area that was a place to sit and have dinner with a group of people. Now, whether or not you can do it with temporary seating versus artwork seating, I don't know. But I was really dismayed to see that things like that we had asked for, that people, again, pursuant to the point that they have no idea that the upper room is being demolished and it's a gathering space for the community. You don't want to, people who want to eat in their neighborhood, right? And have an opportunity to sit and have dinner with a family, go out and sit at those kinds of tables, or gaming or gathering or whatever it is. Having those use groups that are not at Brookfield, that are not in the middle of the Esplanade, that's kind of in the spaces where it's always been, at sort of the edges, so you're not in the fray, was really, really important. And I'm a little, you know, I'm so grateful that the thought of, yes, we'll look at seating for this, yes, we'll look at seating for that, yes, this, yes, that. I'm dismayed that the Brookfield designed artwork is being put into the residential area, which will preclude any kind of seating that we asked for. And I understand that they can't be on the hill, but you know what? Brookfield has plenty of flat spots all around it. Plenty of flat spots. And I just felt like it was, well, we want to preserve the, you know, the stuff, and Brookfield doesn't want it, so we'll stick it here. Oh, well, the community asked for that, but the community can't get that. So there's no other place that has been suggested at any of the openings in the South residential neighborhood to put any of that. And I find it frustrating at best and disappointing at worst, because I know when the construction manager said that was a design choice and it's something we asked from the beginning, it feels a little bit to me like maybe we were misunderstood, but I'm not really clear how. Maybe somebody didn't click through to the right page, right? Much to what the example of how you get to where the information isn't getting there. People think that the walls are not going to be as deep as they are because they see the samples, and the samples don't show all the work. So the combination there is, I think people really need to have a much clearer idea where things are happening, what is being gained, and what is changing, and what is being removed, because that really still isn't clear for some people, even after all this time. I understand horse to water and the rest of it, but, somebody said to me, well, the Battery Park City Authority was doing variances. They were applying for FEMA variances, so maybe these trees will be kept. Where were the variances? And I was like, I have no idea. So if I can't answer it, and I've sat in all these meetings ad infinitum, I don't think Jeff can answer that question either, and he's read the FEIS far more detailed than I have, God bless him. But
Well, I know there are gonna be some plantings within that 15-foot area, but they're not gonna be very large trees.
You've seen the slide, right?
Yeah, we have a slide on it that we could share again that shows
Where you
what
can
can
do it.
be within 15 feet and kinds
we know,
of,
we know
roots.
we know that, but Battery Park City Authority said in every document, including the EIS, that it was pursuing variances to retain some of the tree cover, that they would at every
What's the
point.
result?
But
And
were there
they
no
do.
variances done?
No, we say, I don't think we use that terminology, but I will double check. Yeah, we don't use the terminology variances because it's really, I have to say it's complicated. It's about the engineer of record and what they're comfortable with being close enough to the wall or not. And each situation varies from place to place. But we can go through a tree. We actually could do that exercise where we show you right now where it is.
In the yes.
Yeah.
The variance, it was a variance for FEMA that was very specifically about keeping,
Some of the bigger trees
right,
within 15.
and very much in every point, the project says that Battery Park City Authority is looking at, whatever it is. I mean, if I have to go search through and find it, I can. But it was all about the variances to the 15 feet rule that was asked at every single solitary meeting. And there is notification there that BPCA was still looking at options and for seeking those kinds of things. So if you're telling me today that none were sought, that's
Granted.
or
They were sought.
granted, or sought and not granted, that's something that I think the public needs to know. And I think that's part of the communication, that the things that we're asking for, getting responses on. I think that's a vital part of where people don't feel as connected, that I'm hoping that we can bridge in a
Okay.
positive way.
It's fine. I really feel like we had this letter presented on it, but
We did,
if
but-
it's not clear to you, that means we need to make it clearer. So
Yeah.
we will-
Yeah.
So
Sarah,
I understand what the 15 feet is, Nick. That's not my issue. But the question is, you can get a variance. It was brought up in the meetings that Bud Stuyvesant, and it's, yes, we will be looking at areas and seeking variances. And that was in the documents and it was in other things. If none were sought, or if they were sought and denied and FEMA said no, that's things that we should understand. It is difficult for me to understand when the letter I get back, and Claudia, no offense on this, where it says that the museum.
Claudia.
No,
So-
this is like, because Claudia sent the letter, and so my point is,
Yeah.
no offense to
got it.
Claudia, right?
Okay.
Where she says the Museum of Jewish Heritage is not as close to the water line as X building or Y building. I would say that that is not necessarily true for where 50 and 70 batteries sit, who are the ones who are looking for that same treatment of wall and glass, so they don't lose their common space with the view out to the water. right? Because when
Yeah,
you're
I mean-
standing there and you're looking south, the museum extends further towards the water than they do. So, you know, they pointed that out to me and I'm like, I don't know, this is all I can tell you, this is what it says. So,
What I mean, I can address
No,
that.
please do, that was my question.
Yeah.
Specifically about 50 and 70.
Yeah.
well,
It's
that, and
really-
please come back to me about Albany, because my hair's on fire there, knowing that the
Yeah.
construction guy said that was a design decision. And from point A, we said, if we're gonna have to lose upper room, make sure you replace it with something that is equal in terms of
Communal.
usage, communal usage, and that's not at all what anybody did. And so
Yeah.
you're losing a communal gathering space.
But for the glass, we had the engineers model a glass, do the modeling at 50 and 70. And it is not viable for the glass at those locations because of the impact loads from
But you have
something
something
coming.
You've got the rocks, you've got the trees, you've
Yeah,
got
I
the
mean,
space. I don't understand why not. There, I don't understand why not.
Yeah,
380 Rector, maybe I can understand that as an argument. As around the edge, I don't know, but maybe I can understand it.
As I hear her saying, it's not only distance, it's something else.
It's the force of the water, but the force of the water is gonna be dissipated by the stuff that you're not moving. It's gonna be, you've got flora and structures blocking the force of the water. There. Now, the next question is there, how high, much higher is the wall gonna be?
it's not that much higher there.
And that's the other thing that we should, part of
Yeah.
the walkthrough, is to go through
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
to say, so you know what, glass would be great, but you'd only need
You're not
5
doing
inches.
anything.
I don't know what it is.
there.
But
Yeah,
that would be
because in
lovely.
that instance, it's, you're talking about the two buildings that are
Yeah,
in the south code.
oh, yes, exactly.
Those two buildings, we're leaving the existing wall and building our wall right next to it,
Oh,
and it's basically the same height. So
interesting.
putting
Okay,
putting
that's
glass
not
in
something-
doesn't, there's no
Well,
need
but I
in
think
that
the
instance.
glass area that Tammy was referring to is.
I thought you were talking about over around the corner up by Regatta.
Then
No,
that's,
no, that's not what she's doing. Yeah,
she was
I
talking
heard that.
about the same thing too.
Yeah,
So if we weren't clear on the letter, this was the first time we specifically asked about those two particular
Okay.
locations.
Yes, that's
Uh,
correct.
And it's 50 and 70.
And she
and-
said no. but
Well,
why?
no, but I
Right.
finish. Although part of that wall, that wall has two levels in
Mhm.
those.
right, there's a part that dips down
There's a
where you
part that
have
dips
kind of
down,
the
and
public.
So the question
garden.
was, can glass be used for the part that dips down?
Got it.
Such that the view that backyard currently has of the
Yeah,
wall.
okay, yes, thank you. Now I'm
Continue
okay.
to have
I thought we were on
that.
the same page, but thank you for the further explanation.
Because realize that the wall itself is probably even a little lower than the existing
Yes, in
regular wall.
that area, there's that piece where it's lower.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And,
That's what
and
we want.
I've heard the engineering explanation of over by the regatta.
Yeah, it's by the Regatta, really,
Yeah. There,
along there.
there was concern because that has a history of logs and whatnot accumulating there.
I mean,
and-
we're talking about boats, there's a lot that can come in right there,
Yeah.
and the impact loads are just what
And
we
it may,
can
it
have.
may be the same answer for 50
Yeah,
and 70, but we had never asked about that before.
okay, so this was
that-
directed specifically at
Just-
that one piece,
Yeah, where it's lower at 50 and lower at 70.
so I'll check and see.
Check and see, because
Yeah.
it's just a carve out.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, the wall is low-ish, and then they've got like fencing, if that could be glass, that would be great. And yet, just built in behind it, like you said, you don't have to change anything. Thank you, Jeff, for making that clear. I thought the discussion was the same thing, but that. And then 100% no for along 380 Rector. And,
Yeah, those are the ones where we're too close to the water and the impact loads are too
because
high.
Regatta is here, the 380 Rector is one block in.
Three,
Oh, it's on the-
Well, it's out of water, no, I want to say one block in, what, 380 Rector is on South Cove. So I could see that if the water's gonna come and the logs collect in South Cove, you see the
South
debris in
Cove is
South
a-
Cove.
yeah.
380 Rector is West 10th Street, it's up a block.
Rector.
Well,
Rector,
yeah,
so
Rector. Yeah, the other side. I'm looking at West 10th Street of Rector, which then has buildings.
Is
You
this
got the
Liberty
Bugatti.
House, Liberty Terrace,
Liberty House,
Hudson
Liberty
Tower?
Terrace, Liberty
Yeah.
Terrace. Only
I got
Liberty
them by the
Terrace.
names, not
Oh,
the,
sorry.
sorry, the
Yeah.
addresses, I'm trying
No,
to.
but it's Liberty Terrace
Yeah.
by the Terrace Club, because for them, they're, in these are conversations that I've had with them, and they're concerned because they've got their gym downstairs.
Yeah, that's.
And they want to be able to see, and there the wall will be high. Higher.
It's
I'm
only,
not sure
it's not that much higher than the existing
Yeah,
privacy
I-
wall.
It's
It's very
18
similar.
Or bothered by that, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't live there, but it's not that
Yeah.
much higher. And then there were other, but when we did the walkthrough, there's other concerns they raised, which I thought were interesting about where the wall was gonna be and how there's gonna be empty space as it connects to the, but not empty space for water to come through, but empty
Right.
space for like bugs, rats.
Okay.
people.
Right.
Bats. Anyway, that's a different story.
Okay.
Much
And-
more detailed.
Very quickly, Pump House Park, my understanding had been, that only the front section would go away. And that the rest of it would stay.
That's right.
And is the picnic area gonna stay as well?
The picnic area stays.
And is that going to be open during construction?
I think that part of it may be open, but then part of it won't be. So
Okay,
I'm not
all right.
really sure, but we are circulating through there.
Right.
So there are pieces that are open.
That's something. if I may
That's,
say.
it showed it was totally closed on the last slides. The last
Yeah,
slides that we
it's-
were shown last month, none of Pump House Park was open and none. And what was even more concerning was there was no guarantee that the trees were gonna be retained for the larger part.
The trees that were
Because-
supposed to be.
Correct.
Were-
The
it's not
birch,
clear.
the birch trees in the grove were supposed to be untouched. We weren't losing any of those. And he didn't have any clue about the cherry trees and the other trees around the park because it was going to be used for staging and storage.
And we
That
so
was,
love
that was
non-house.
extraordinarily disconcerting to hear.
It was very upsetting.
That's not what Claudia says in her answer here, by the way.
No, he didn't say it was storage and staging, it was for the preliminary.
Preliminary stuff.
But
But it-
of
The ECS line, which is the Verizon line.
And but he was unclear what trees, if any, would be impacted by the utility line work.
So that would be nice to know, because as much of Pump House Park that could remain open, and the seating area that Sarah's referring to, like where they plant the tulips and how beautiful Meadow is.
So beautiful.
As much of that can be open during the construction would be great. I appreciate that you're gonna put it back. But now we're just focusing on during the construction, we'd like to have that space open.
Would you
It's,
please put
it's called the Birch Grove. The official name, they call it the Birch Grove.
Where's the
And
Verizon
if
line
the-
for?
if the trees that surround,
Oh,
Pump House Park could be replaced with trees in kind, so we still have the seasons reflected by those trees.
That would be lovely.
It would be amazing.
Well, none of us will see it. Well, about 20 years, right?
Maybe.
The Verizon line is for what?
there's a major line going through that area.
It's always gone through there?
Yeah,
And what's being done to it?
it needs to be rerouted to make way for the bridging structure that's going over the Port Authority tunnels. So it crosses those tunnels and then we have to cross it and the tunnels in order to put in the flood barrier system. So there's a little bit of like reroute, or, some make ready work that they're gonna be doing early so that they can get some slack in there and like have the space to like route it around.
So I think the point I wanted to make on the tree work is that we had the impression that I think was accurate, that the basic construction design was, had a goal of preserving as many trees as possible. We kind of got the impression that some of this prep work didn't have that mentality. That, it may have been just the way the presenter was informed and didn't know a lot of other details, but he kind of left the impression of, well, we gotta dig up this Verizon line, and so all these trees have to go. That included a bunch of trees that otherwise would not have been touched by the construction project. And so we'd like some clarification.
We follow up on, we have some follow-ups from that meeting as it is, that we're still working through, but the virtual question specifically, Justine, about the parking spots. So yes, we have a list of things there as well, but I will circle back. And then the question about the lower wall, which we'll pick that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuts out.
Yeah.
That was the part for glass, but thank you, Jeff, for clarifying it.
Right.
One more thing?
Sure.
It's not mentioned in the letter, I don't think, but I would just like to go back to, because I missed that one of the meetings, and I'm sorry about that. But an independent monitor and having some idea in real time for the people that live here and work here and the visitors here as to what's going on. From the way I understand it all, from 250 Water Street and from the borough-based sales situation, they're constantly monitoring to a certain level of particulate matter. If it exceeds it, construction shuts down, then they mitigate. And they, spray water, whatever, and if it's okay, they'll keep working, if it's not okay, they stop, let it water down, whatever. I wanna know when it goes over, so people are told, and it's like a simple email to all the doormen and all the office buildings and all the management, close your windows. Turn your AC off.
Or than that, there, could be a phone, I think, because an email people don't check, but maybe
Or
some.
phone calls or something,
Well, like
something.
a New York kind of.
I know,
Yeah, I know, exactly. A text.
something along those lines,
Yeah.
because
Or notify Battery Park City.
my biggest concern is not micromanaging what you're doing. I mean, it is, but it's not.
No, I get it.
I want to know, when is it not safe?
Right.
And considering the people that live here and how close we are.
And we've been through this before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Been
There
through a
are
lot
not
of-
a lot of us living here are 9/11 survivors, and we're currently paying the price
Yeah,
for that.
it's very triggering when you do
So
stuff.
more
Yes.
damage
Yeah.
to our lungs,
Doesn't help.
kids with asthma.
So if that's,
It's
Yeah.
very serious issue.
Yes.
if that is something, and then my question is, because we were discussing it among ourselves, and I don't know the answer, to what particulate matter are you measuring, if you know?
I do not remember that answer,
Okay, if you.
but it is in the FEIS and it is in some presentations that we've made.
Because I know that,
We can
and
get
again,
back
this
to you.
could be.
Yeah.
I got it.
I
Yeah.
believe you, by law, you only have to measure to 10. I want you to do better than that if you can, and go and measure to 2.5.
I'm going purely for numbers. I think the FEIS says 2.5, but.
I know, Jeff, but I don't want to.
Yes, let's follow up. We can pull that up, check.
And it's
Yeah.
following the law, so nothing here is me challenging the law. I think the law is too high for particulate matter.
We can get it, I can get that.
But also especially 9/11
Yeah.
survivors. And the jail wasn't, there was an office building there, but
You know, people live there too.
you're right on top of the
Yeah.
survivors of 9/11.
Yep. So no, I mean, I would appreciate that. That is a big, to me, something that's huge, to be told, close your windows, turn the building into.
Put on your air purifiers.
Right.
Yeah.
Which are things we're used to doing.
Yeah, we'll be following up on
That,
that.
thank you, sorry. Nothing.
This is important, I get it.
Yeah, Terry.
My hand's up, sorry. Along the same lines, I'm gonna amplify the ask for that, because you're working right under Sty's windows. You're working right by PS 89 and IS 289, and you're working right by the playground for 89. So even though it's across the street, if you want to say, oh, but it's across the other side of Chamber Street, dust we know flies. So what we want to know and understand is what kind of protections you're going to offer for the schools specifically when you're under their windows. Same thing with the preschool when you're over under their windows. right? We asked about HEPA filters in the very beginning. I mean, that goes back to also the conversation that needs to be a little bit more diverse in terms of notification. So if you're working under a specific group of windows, I mean, I spoke with one of the BPCA board members and she was sort of surprised. She's like, people in Battery Park City keep their windows open? I'm like,
Yeah.
all the time, yeah. So it really is about communication and making sure when you have an environmental monitor that if it's things are going on, that they can be notified.
Is, yeah, and real time makes the difference, because even the building, so for Brookfield, you can't open your windows for Brookfield, but your building pulls in air.
Yes.
You know, you're gonna need to, something along the lines of changing the air filters more regularly, I don't know.
Yeah, actually, a good point.
Yeah.
In our buildings for the residents.
Yeah, no, and that was a big thing, the intake valve.
Yeah, our P-TEC units, air goes in and out all the time. It has,
Because you have to
we
turn everything
can't
off.
stop it.
Right, we can.
All right, so this is a subject that we will
Yeah.
want to continue to discuss. But I think,
That's about it, so we plus the other.
Let's try to find it, but.
Tammy, you
Get back
still
to
have it? All right, I think that's all the questions
Yeah.
for, this is a very good presentation
Thank you.
Thank you.
and we look forward to next generation board of Home next time.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
More mail. More mail. Thank you.
That's fine. About the next round of postcard.
Yeah, but let's not, we can have the.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
We're gonna.
How we still.
It's good way to diversity.
All right.
You know, you have.
All
right, thank
The agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Of course, I didn't get that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'd love to send you something.
What was there?
That's the clip of that?
No.
All right, so
Unless, oh, the gas.
we have,
You wanna do Pat first or want to first?
let's do Pat first. All right, Pat, feel it.
Escape.
I think Patrick went to the toilet.
No,
There
you're
he
right.
Sorry.
He's got.
The last one.
Zach, can you give me this app to?
Yeah.
Do you want to sit, you want to come sit here?
I want to make sure I sit in the right seat, not the hot seat.
Sit across from.
Next to me. No, I'm sitting on top.
Oh, okay, as you can see from the chart, you know, back in 2024, dealing with graffiti, there was no reports, and this year, thankfully, there was no reports also for it. Homeless reports back in 2024 was 14 interactions with the homeless. This year, we had 12 interactions. Lost and found, there was 10, this year 4. Park rules, last year was 8, this year 11. Dealing with vendors, last year was 4, and this year we're dealing with 1. Dogs was last year 2, this year 4 reports. Thing I wanted to bring up was I was at the first precinct open community meeting, and the owner of the bus company was there, tour bus company.
Big city
Yeah.
tourism.
Right, so, you know, he did his stick, of course, he had his backup people there. And, at the end of the stick, anybody have any questions? Really, nobody asked any questions, then I started asking questions. So, it all comes down to, then of course, there was a little bit of a raise in temperature. But they were starting to make complaints against the cops coming down there. Okay, so they complaints.
City was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the bus.
Yes, so, you know, for harassment and this and that. And the long and the short of it is, I know why they were there. You know, and the captain answered it and addressed it. And saying, you know, everybody has the camera on. Right? Police all have body cameras and, when they go down there, they work as a detail team, so there's a sergeant with them at all times, and they view the camera, and there was no basis for their civilian complaints. But this is, the long and short of it was, they're there because they use a machine to print the tickets. So the ticket sellers have the machine. And when the sergeant or the police turn around and is writing the person the ticket, they really don't care about that person getting the ticket, the owner of the company. That's what you have to understand, because they're an independent, right?
Yeah.
But what the owner of the company cares about is the machine. So I know about 10 years ago, when there was a lieutenant doing it and that, the machine cost $1,500. So it's probably more. So-
Do they take the machine?
Of course they do. They voucher it as part of evidence. So if the person never answers the summons, right, the machine stays
As evidence.
as evidence. And, you know, that's the real reason why he was there. He wanted to know why and how to get his machines back and stuff like that.
And could he get them back, or it's only the person who was taken from him? I was wondering.
So-
Interesting.
Afterwards, I met with the sergeant that does the detail down there, and of course, most of the complaints were made against him. But I spoke to him to let him know that West Street, Little West, okay, is Battery Park City Authority's property, and it's state property, thereby they're not licensed to sell. So when he is down there and his team is freed up from other things, he's doing enforcement now. So, just wanted to pass that along. Thank you.
Patrick, I live there, I'm not seeing it.
I understand, I
saw there was, I have
I-
a video today,
I
there was
understand.
6 NYPD cars, 6 of them lined up. And there, right in front of them was this huge line for all the tours. I couldn't walk my dog on the sidewalk because the Jersey barriers are there. I want to know when those are coming down. The bike, it's a mess. I can't go into the Battery anymore, Nick. I can't go in there anymore. I am considering leaving Battery Park City because I honestly can't take it anymore.
We don't want you to leave better.
Yeah, but I do, like, let's be honest, but I, honest to God, it is, I go over to Fidei, I can't take it anymore. I can't, and I pick up my dog because I'm afraid one of them's gonna kick it, because I say something to them and they know who I am. They harass me all the time, like, it's a problem.
I mean, if you're being harassed, you should call police. 100%.
They're right there. I talk to the cops, I talk to the sergeants, like I have conversations with them. They tell me what's going on with the guys. The police officers, they're super friendly over there, but their hands are tied. It's a mess. It's such a mess, but the barriers, Nick, are not helping. And those tour buses, I mean, there's just tourists everywhere. Residents who live in the South Battery Park City can't use that park anymore,
You know,
period.
and a major part of the problem is that these ticket sellers have a license. They
That's
have a
right.
license,
And that now there's,
they can't do anything until that ticket seller is actually on our property,
and they are, and
And-
no one's
and
doing
but-
anything.
until they witness them selling it. They have to witness them
I'm
selling it.
so angry I missed that meeting because I would have been the star witness, but the in front there of the Bowling Green station where the Jersey barriers are, right? That the BPCA put, right? Now they've roped it off because there's cement divots. So people could injure themselves and it's roped off. If Betty goes over there, she can't get over there. She's gonna have to go all the way around behind the museum now. Okay, because now we've got T-shirt salesmen, we've got the Jersey barriers, we have the ticket scalpers, and there's 1.5 feet to get through, to get to inside the battery. It's a mess. It's a mess, and I don't know what to do about it. I'm just beside myself. I like, yeah.
Listen, I fully understand, because we're dealing with it.
So what should I do? Who would you want me to call?
I
You know,
don't-
when I see them, they're there every day.
Uh,
On battery, I'm talking about BPCA.
mhm.
They're there every day in front of the Wagner. I know the guy.
in Park City or?
I could actually do a lineup with them.
Right, but if they're on the street,
Yeah.
our guys can't do it.
No, they're not on the street. They're standing on the pathway. On the, you know, what is it called? The, yeah, there you go. Yeah. And they're at the very end. In fact, the cement
They're
blocks
all
at
wrong.
the end, they set up and they put their waters there
They're there.
and they smoke their weed there and they have their
And there.
lunch and, yeah.
The Greenway is city property, so it's just moving from here to there. That's
And
what
they-
the issue is,
Yeah,
you know? And the police actually have to witness them selling in the exchange to write them a ticket. Okay, to do the enforcement. Because they have a license.
So when
I
they
mean,
get.
it's actually,
took their
it's sad to say, but it's actually comical because they'll have one ticket machine between, let's say, 5 ticket sellers. And when they see the police going for the one person, they're busy throwing
The ticket machine to somebody else. Oh my God.
to somebody else. And they're busy chasing it around. Well, I'm just letting you know, I mean, you're living through it because you live down there. I'm just letting you know the frustration, you know, with the police department. I'm dealing with it. And everybody keeps saying, you know, the congressman's representative that's there, oh, we're looking to change it. We're trying to put a bill.
Yeah.
And if you wait till
No,
that,
it's,
you know,
it's stuck right now.
you'll be the wrong person.
It's an insult to the NYPD. It honestly is. They just, it's insulting. It's insulting.
Justine has a question.
Thank you, Jeff. So Patrick, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, you probably are, but, and then I also don't know if Allied patrols the bridge, the West Thames Bridge. But in the different chat groups, whatever, I saw that reference to a child that was beaten up on the West Thames Bridge. And are you aware of it at all or no?
No.
Gang related too.
You weren't aware.
Well, again, according to the chat, I'm wondering to know who they called. The police were called, I believe, is
Okay.
led from the chat, but I guess they didn't. Do
We
you guys
weren't-
control it or no? You don't?
No, we weren't aware of it.
So that did happen.
Every once in a while, if an alarm goes off, they have the alarm to the elevator.
Right.
So-
In our building, yeah, two
Right.
director, they have that.
So if
That's
that
not-
goes off and we'll go and check that, but that's.
But yeah, it was in the morning one day this week.
Who has cameras on that, Justine? Are they going to the BPCA or is that the NYPD?
Apparently the NYPD, because you don't even know about it. I mean, a
Because
lot of
I
this, yeah, I mean, it's not your camera, it's the NYPD's camera. So they exist. And again, according to these people, it was gang related. Red
This was
gang.
on
blue
Friday?
gang. No.
I'll
Was
give
it
you the
Friday?
exact date.
It's
I'll give you the
It was high
exact
school
date.
kid, yeah.
I can give you the exact date.
And then
It's
something
gotta
else
be the
that
high school on the
has to
other
be
side.
on the other side, right? The high school.
Yeah,
Because you've got Millennium there, you've got this high school.
right, and they come over. and
I heard it was
play-
a
play basketball.
276 issue.
No, well, I think one of the kids who was involved in the fight dropped his sister off at
276.
And 276 was aware of it happening, but
Don't say that.
don't ask, I don't know. Okay, so you've got no clue, fair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do.
it was Friday at
Again, in this
10:44.
chapter, we're talking about, homeless people, being homeless people, men and one woman being aggressive to children, yelling at them, approaching them. Again, they call 911, they get out of the way, whatever, but that is more in West Thames. Teardrop Park was one place, I believe they reported it. And then someplace on the Esplanade, am I right with the Esplanade?
Yes, but not, there's a female that,
That was doing great.
that, sometimes sits up there on a bench. She covers herself like in a tarp. She sits there and she thinks in the daytime.
All just dressed up. Oh, no, but if
Oh.
you're asleep,
You know,
everybody has a different opinion. If she's asleep, she's not bothering anybody.
Right.
I may not wanna look at her, but sorry, she's gotta sleep someplace, she's got no place to go,
Listen.
I don't mind if she's sleeping, I do mind if if anybody is approaching people.
You know, we,
Tammy?
I'm on with Downtown Alliance, you know, their monthly call, Zach is sometimes on it, with me. The woman that's you're describing actually, floats around a lot, CD1.
I do think that's
Area,
true, yeah.
You know, they're
But-
all very transient. There's only maybe 2 people right now that aren't really transient, like they sit there, there's people in the community helping them out, giving them money, feeding them and stuff like that. We're busy trying to get them to accept services, by contacting people that are helping them.
And the
In the
transient people
situation.
as well, if you can call somebody to get them help, because
Well,
quickly,
we always ask them, you know, would you like assistance? You know, it's a tough road. Anybody that's aggressive, if they able to shoot me a photograph of the
oh,
individual,
yeah, there's
I
some talk.
send it, I do send it to Downtown Alliance and to their group, you know,
mean, that
that
would be
they're aware.
A much better way to go is to give it to Allied and to get it to Patrick, because any kind of pictures that are being, you don't wanna be hanging posters up and saying, this guy's dangerous, that's not the safe
Right,
way to do it.
That's what residents are talking about
But yeah,
doing,
that's why I'm-
and that is deeply concerning to
Exactly.
all of us. I
Good,
think.
I don't want that.
No, that was gonna cause all sorts of problems.
You see, part of it is, there was one individual that shadow boxes
Yeah.
that used to
Yes.
be over Pataki Way. And
Yeah.
that stuff, and he'd show up like at 6 in, he'd be there and around 11 o'clock, he'd move along, right? So everybody's all nervous because he shadow boxes. I was in contact, with them and, they were gonna send a nurse, right? But in the meantime, everybody wants them out of there.
Yeah, I know, but
So-
it's, yeah.
We're moving them, you know, so now it's trying to get a nurse to reach that individual and he's gone because
We've moved
we,
on.
you can, right, we're moving them on.
Necessarily solve the problem because he
Right.
comes back, so it's almost where if he could be watched or an ambassador
Well,
could
I
be there.
think he's really coming from a facility that's close by. And,
Yeah.
you know, they have to empty out the facilities in the daytime to clean them and stuff like that. So,
What facility like that is nearby? I know that the ones that they've built, they don't ever the people don't have to leave. The new ones, I don't know about the old ones.
okay,
Tammy has her hand up.
That's Tammy.
Hey, thanks so much. Patrick, thank you for be willing, that we will encourage the public to send you photos so you can help track and report to both Downtown Alliance and the partners at DHS. I wanted to ask Nick, confused for the Autism Speaks. It says it's a walkathon pass-through, but the notes indicate that it actually loops in Battery Park City. So how are we not closing north on Little West Street? If they're walking from Battery Place to Second and then looping back down Battery Place, how is that no street closure?
Oh, it's already done. It happened yesterday.
Oh, perfect. Then that's all. Don't need to know. Okay, moving on.
I'm not happy to know I got 0 complaints about it, but I left it on there.
I love
because
that.
You know what, since October.
I love that.
So-
And then if I'm gonna try and share. Just to show you a couple photos. We absolutely do not. We love having events in our neighborhood. What we do not like is parking on the sidewalk. So if you could see this car, it's backed up completely up and over the sidewalk. And you think, well, that's just one car, none of the rest of them, but they were parked that way from the edge of Gateway all the way down to and in between the trees. So let me find you the next one. Because the next one, sadly, Nick,
Is this 9/11?
it does not make a difference just seeing what it is. It makes a difference that it is. Can you see this one?
Yeah. Wow, right
Okay.
there, right next to the
So
road.
this is going straight down South End Avenue. And while the ambulances cannot get up on the sidewalk, and neither did that first car, all the cars down the street are up onto the sidewalks.
One's a police car.
Don't care who it is.
That's on 9/11?
I'm not
Is that
even
on
going down what day it was. Here's what I'm gonna say, Nick. You
Go
guys
ahead.
have the fantastic events team. I'm tagging that back to the events team to make it perfectly clear when we have events that no one may park a vehicle on the sidewalk. I don't care what day it is, quite frankly. We shouldn't be allowing people to back up into the sidewalks, no matter
Oh,
what
yeah,
day.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, like, if we need to go back to the police
Who we're
department.
gonna go to, yeah.
And say
That's-
this was
that's-
this time on this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have that
Yeah.
conversation offline. I'm making it as a general.
Yeah.
I'm making it as a,
Okay. You can
right.
send me the pictures. Send me the pictures.
And then Betty?
Yeah, just a question for Pat. Were you aware of the second degree felony assault on a senior citizen by the dog park? I think it was when I was at the wedding a couple weeks ago, Maura.
I know about an assault, 2 of them. I think that's one of them. That's,
Did they ever catch?
have no idea if they actually, made an arrest on it.
I
I
understand.
know the other one up, by Chambers Street, he did make a police report and people did put out photos of the gentleman lives actually up there. So,
Do we get reports on these, I see things about dogs and all that, but I don't see any reporting on these kinds of assaults. Do you have that information? Should that, I defer
I just have
to our chair, if that should be included?
Well, you would, I think if we do have assaults that are part of that are reported to you.
Mhm.
Should include those in the report.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to what Tammy was talking about. I will give a date, and it was with the Stevens event going on. And there was somebody.
The Tunnel to Towers?
Towers.
Okay.
There was somebody parked right across the curb cut by my building, and they would not move. In fact, multiple people went up to them and said, "There's somebody, get all the strollers," there were lots of them. They were blocked as others. Nevertheless, saying, "Well, why don't you move?" Somebody trying, thinking he didn't see me. Of course he saw me. Of course he wouldn't answer my question. He's like, and he did these long conversations. It would take 5, 6, 7 minutes before he'd eventually move. And then he'd start backing up before I even got out of the car. And of course, forget all the other people. We're still trying to get on this. So when I came back from picking something up, I had the same thing. So I tapped on his window. Well, I didn't tap, because I was my phone. And he had the nerve, because he had a bunch of kids in the car with him. He had the nerve to ask me, threatening me with calling the police if I ever touched his window again. And who was I to be talking to him? And because I was in a bad mood. When he finally moved up, and it took a long time before he would move up so I could get to the curb. There were a whole backup of people who wanted to with their strollers. And so I sat there. I was gonna see how he liked waiting as long as he made me wait to get at the curb. Security guards and people from the event came over to ask me, "Is there a problem? Could I please get out of the way because somebody wanted to back up?" And I said, "Excuse me?" He wants to back up to block the curb cut. And he saw the stream of people with strollers and others trying to get, and he finally backed up and said, "Well, I'll leave it." So this driver was probably an NYPD related person. There were a whole bunch of vehicles along the way. And when he was pulled in front of some barriers. It wasn't like it was through traffic or anything, he was doing blocking. He just wanted to be at the curb cut for some reason, that was what he wanted to do. And so I was gonna bring it up when they asked for a permit again to say, they can't at least get their own security guards in mind, keeping these curb cuts clear. That's a sad commentary and shame on that.
That is a very good point, Betty. Has that happened before?
I haven't been as aware of it, but again, people are getting more and more on edge and uncivilized.
Yeah,
Yes.
fair.
Are we having it next year? Will there be space? But tell us, I mean, there's gonna be all construction everywhere.
I'm sure.
They believe they are returning. I already spoke to Susan about it. When we got the first notice.
Stay on west, they don't have to cut in.
There's the big party though, the big party with the barbecue and
Nothing should be closed.
Nonetheless, this is like serious. We don't want to give it short shrift. If there are pictures or videos, testimonials that you can share from the day, like send it to us and we can make sure that we get it to the permit teams for the school comes for us next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Some legitimate problems that were encountered. The Battery Park City Authority isn't the only permitting authority for the event, obviously the city, because they started with Staten Island, they rented the tunnel. But to the extent that we have a role for permitting, we will let them know.
No, that makes sense, and they also come to us, they tend to come to us at the last minute, in later, later years, it feels like to me.
Yeah.
But they come and they want to be a good neighbor, and they want to partner with us, and they have in the past, that's why I was asking if it happened before, but it's the first time you've been, really treated so badly, as well as other people, and that's horrifying.
We had examples with other permittees before, yesterday, I won't name names, but we had experience with one of the building managers in the south, and they let us know, and then the next year, they came to us and said, "Look, there's some issues, work it out." So,
no, that's not
I
acceptable.
can't guarantee we're gonna solve for every problem, but to the extent that we are experiencing things that are demonstrable, that I have pictures and evidence for, we can say, look, this happened last year. This can't happen again.
One last security question, then I want to get to next.
Yes.
And that is, I think Christine or somebody mentioned cameras. Are there any such thing as Battery Park City Authority cameras?
Yes, more cameras on ball fields.
There's cameras on the ball fields.
Yeah.
There's cameras over in Rockefeller Park. There's cameras. Okay, Teardrop Park has few cameras. Okay, and then there's other cameras that really the authority moves around. They're solar cameras, so they just move them around to certain locations, basically by a construction site or something like that. But that's about it.
The reason I ask is that someone approached me the other day, who had an incident with her dog being attacked by another dog. And she reported it to, unclear to me whether it was both allied ambassadors and to the cops or just one or the other. But she was told that none of the cameras in Rockefeller Park were functional. Is that?
Well, that I can't speak to right now, but I'm sure she was directed to send an email to Freddie, who's a Battery Park City employee who oversees the cameras. And, anytime anybody asks us for anything with footage, we're not in charge of it. We only see a couple of areas, and we don't even, let's say, fix the cameras. It's just like they're on a computer screen about what's on your desk there. And those that we do have access to, we can see it.
Do we know from the authority whether in fact?
I think I know the woman who's speaking about it, contacted me as well, so we have, we give away our entire security posture very.
But, did they capture the?
Often not necessarily all operation. We're in the process of kind of making a different look and perhaps upgrading our camera systems across the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
until it's like, why am I on camera all the time? But when you need it, you're like, I definitely want to.
Well, I haven't how it happened.
Yeah.
I say I'm not in favor of a surveillance state, but sometimes the cameras do serve a.
Right.
Nonetheless, yes, I think I know the constituent you're talking about. We conversed with her. There's no footage of the cameras that she was asking about. So there are cameras that exist that are not operational. And that is, I don't want to speak for all places everywhere, but that is not an uncommon practice that. Sometimes there are cameras that don't necessarily operation, but they
Deterrence.
give the impression that, okay, well, there is a camera here.
Or they're not gonna show the area where you are. You know, I mean, most of the cameras that were originally put up in Rockefeller Park just covered the path. Christine.
I have a quick question for Patrick. In the chat group, so it's so Battery Park City Association, right, chat group, right, where everyone talks and stuff. And there's a lot of complaints and issues about the security people putting phones, not, and then should there be an incident, they don't take care of it, et cetera. And I would love for you to give maybe us an example of what they are there for, because I think there's misinformation out there. Like, I have a feeling like, Battery Park City is still New York City. It's not a gated community, even though there is private security. And I think people have that idea that it's gated, right? Like, they think like, because there's homeless people, that the Allied, they're responsible for taking them out of their community. And it's not that. We are New York City. So I just kind of want to say that on camera too, for anyone who's like,
Yeah,
like,
thank you.
like community who's listening, like, we are not here, like, this is not our own little place, right? So can you just let people know what Allied is there for, and what people can count on them for, and what they can't count on them for,
Okay, I mean, you're correct. People have come up to me and said, can't you keep the homeless out?
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah.
Basically, we're contracted by the Battery Park City Authority to patrol the park. Okay, and enforce the park rules. So what I like to tell the safety ambassadors, your job is to educate the public when you observe them breaking one of the park rules. Right, so they patrol, if somebody gets injured, they call 911, stuff like that. We have had people arrested down here by calling 911 and the police coming.
They can't arrest them though, Allied can't,
No,
no.
no, that's not what our function is. Our function is call 911, okay? We'll turn around and offer assistance. We will escort people. So in other words, we'll get a phone call from somebody and they'll turn around and say, gee, got really dark on it here. Could somebody walk me to my apartment? And we've done that. The mailman in the building sometimes will call us. If they have an issue with somebody inside their lobby. Now, that's not part of our function.
Yeah.
But in something like that, we will go. Usually, the supervisor will respond with the safety ambassador. And they just go as far, open up the door, and they'll say, hey, you gotta leave. From a safe distance, the person doesn't wanna leave, they'll look and they'll say, the doorman, call 911. Okay, we try to, going beyond the scope is us dealing with the homeless and trying to get them to accept services. I mean, we have had one success story where somebody did say, okay, I will accept. And we called. And within 20 minutes, a car pulled up, people in it, put stuff in their vehicle, and they drove off with the individual who wanted the services. So that's one success story, but as Department of Homeless Services tells me, it takes 21 touches before a person will accept.
That's right, but you can't stop dog fights. You can't stop people from unleashing their dogs and running around in the parks, and you can say something to them and let them know it's a rule, but you can't.
Right, most of the safety ambassadors, that's all I can do is, I do have a couple of peace officers that if they have to see the dog off the leash, and they can write them a summons. So the summons, I think now is up to $250.
So you can write something.
Yeah.
Yes, not
We
everybody.
have, I think, since I came back, I think we were up to, what was it, like 15 summonses we wrote so far.
If they don't accept them, though, it means nothing. That also is rolling around in the chat.
Hey, what do you mean if
The
they?
person won't accept the summons, they'll write the summons and the person just
They have
walks
to,
around.
otherwise, what that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have to give them the information for the summons.
Okay.
Okay, so they get the summons. Now, if they don't answer the summons, okay, it's a civil court summons. So what happens is if they don't answer it by the return date, then the fine increases and it keeps going up. Now, from there, I don't know how civil court goes after them, but, it's crazy. If they turn around and won't turn over their information.
yeah.
Okay, they usually call me and I walk over there and I say, okay. Then we're gonna go into the station house and you're gonna get a desk appearance ticket and you can appear before the judge.
If they don't leave.
If they don't give us their
Well, I
information.
mean, like, I could say, I'm not gonna give it to you and then just walk away. By the time you get there, I'm gone.
Believe it or not, they don't walk away. Because they think that,
They
you know,
think that, yeah, privilege,
Right,
yeah,
right,
that they have the right to do whatever.
exactly.
It's very
You
helpful.
know, there's a number of people that's like to smoke their cigar in the
Yeah.
park, you know? And basically we just tell them, like, you know, can't smoke here, just go out to the street.
Yeah.
And smoke all you want, sit on the bench on the street. You know, some people, it's like, well, I'm not gonna do it, well. If the peace officer's working, the public peace officer, he has to see it, he actually has to see it. And he can write him a summons for it, okay?
Can you smoke weed in our?
No,
If you
no,
can smoke
not-
cigarettes, I would assume you
no,
can't
no,
smoke weed.
No smoking
There's
in
no
the park.
smoking, and the entire area, Battery Park City is the park?
No,
no.
no, no.
It's all about it, parks, there are parks. If you look
Okay.
at the South End Avenue, that's street, but if you're along
If
the.
you go out on the street, you can smoke, but if you're in the park, you can't smoke. And believe me,
All right,
I
let's-
get caught.
let's get the next
I'm
report.
already-
That's a good summary, Patrick. It's
Thank
useful
you.
to have
Yeah.
Customer feedback here too, thank you, and thank you, Christine. It's not a gated community,
It is not a gated community.
they are public parks.
Most
Hey,
people think it is.
Jeff
Things are all-
and Jeff, Nick, and Patrick, can I ask one last question?
Whatever.
Uh,
Go ahead.
my question is for Patrick. We know that every year past the high season, as we're approaching into low season, there's a change in staffing and patrol and things like that. My question is there a reduction in the special patrol officers as well as the regular, or just the regular ambassadors?
Just the regular ambassadors, right now trying to beef up special patrol officers.
And
Trying
is
to
there-
increase the number.
Is there a limit on how many you can have? Because I know that there's a different certification in the rest of it.
11.
Thank you.
Well,
How
How many do we
many?
have?
3,
We have 3, but we can have 11?
yeah.
It's just hard to
So
get,
it's,
you know.
It's a
it's,
training process.
it's a training process. First,
But the NYPD has to train.
they have to turn around and fingerprint them and do a background check and all of this stuff, which takes time, and then they have to go to a certified training school. That, and then after the training school, then they have to wait, turn the certificate over to the police department, they still have to do more background investigation. And then after that, they have to then wait to be sworn in when they decide to, swear in number of, so.
May I ask, I don't know if it's public information, like how much the job pays, not that I'm interested, but, I'm just wondering, like, maybe we put, in the newsletter an ad, like we did for the crossing guards. Because they desperately need crossing guards. No,
I can tell you the salary for them is $25 based on the
and
contract.
that is an hourly salary.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, let's have next report.
Okay, all right. All right, Christine. Add as my cover image.
I wish I had gotten to see it.
It's beautiful.
Tried to go, couldn't get in.
I'm happy, I'm simultaneously happy to know that it was so popular, but sad to know that you couldn't get there, so. I will certainly take it back to make sure that we try to make sure that egress is easier for folks who really want to see, because really was something to see. And that was on the 25th, 6th, and 7th there in Wagner. We had that last month again, just upping it again because it's such a gorgeous shot. Wagner Park is reopened. We talked a little bit about the pavilion rooftop, which should be coming soon, TBD on that, but in the next couple of weeks or so, we should be able to have the rooftop pavilion open, and the restrooms of the pavilion as well, with the restaurant coming, the community room during the winter and the restaurant, next spring or summer. Northwest, we spent a lot of time on tonight as well, but I won't here, for the previous presentations with both the dog runs and the neighborhood enhancements. We have some follow-ups tonight in the conversation on neighborhood enhancements and dog runs as well, which we'll be back to you on, the focus on serious, dog runs specifically there, Jill. Sure, get some updates there on some of the, I didn't fix in the short term.
Appreciate it.
And then we talked a little bit about the test pits as well, so just as a reminder for those things that are going on now, that's not the bigger portion of the subterraneous work, which is TBD on schedule, but the test pits that we talked about at the EPC committee on the 15th are underway in some places, and we have them also linked to the presentation, the video. TV, that's more YouTube channel. We'll do the quickies. One thing I did want to bring to your attention is we talked about this time last year, but the St. Ballfield's turf replacement upgrades project still exists in the same shape and format, except it got moved from what was going to be last winter down to this winter. And we're going to try and hit that window with a little bit more precision. So net, end of November, call it right after Thanksgiving, or perhaps shortly before when all the permits spin off for the season. And closed ball fields to engage in that turf replacement project. It's not just new turf, but it's also the batting cages, outfield fencing, lower group dugout roofing, et cetera. I've linked there to the presentation we did to the CBU on education committee last October. But it's a fairly tight time frame that we are aiming to hit. We're fairly confident. We're confident that we will have it closed and have it reopened again for March. So when the little leaguers get on the field and start getting ready in advance of the opening day next April, they will be ready to go. So that's the bulk of this turf replacement project. You recall what we did last winter was the replacement of the padding, which looks great. Brookfield ground lease extension, you saw the news last week. More to come on this from a standpoint of residential buildings, but the governor, the mayor, the controller announced last week a ground lease extension for Brookfield, which would contribute in excess of $1.5 billion for affordable housing over the course of the contract term. And also
And the contract term was to 2069 or to 2019, 2119?
2119, an extension
And then-
from 2069 through 20.
Got, okay. And do they actually have, sorry if I may, do they actually have terms? I guess they do, 1.5.
They have the contours of the agreement in place.
Got, and
What
then,
it started now is the approval process at the state authorities office.
okay,
So, over the next 90 days, that it would be finalized, then we'll have the final lease amendment, which would then be posted.
close enough, sorry.
But the broad contours are that.
And question for you is whether or not the authority is willing to meet with the condos and the residential buildings, whether Gateway, but other residential buildings to extend their lease to
We should
2029.
have some further information in the coming weeks about next steps on that one. I think we want to just get some information out to the condos. While we're always thinking on that, but yes, this is not a necessary precursor, but it's not like we're doing Brookfield and, how with the condos, we are.
No.
It's all of a piece. There's differences fundamentally between commercial real estate and residential real estate, but it is certainly something that we are.
It all pushes together, which I totally understand.
So yes, we want to have this conversation with condo owners.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that.
Is there any discussion? Yes, I know you know what I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask, but I have to ask it. To extend the rent stabilization for the families in Gateway Plaza, one of the few rental affordable housing
The quasi
Only.
stabilization.
Yours.
through this huge sum of money, as the last money that went from the general fund had no carve out to help preserve.
any affordable housing in Battery Park City.
I'm talking particularly about the quasi rent stabilization. You are gonna lose the people who came back here after 9/11, who raised their children here, who built the schools, who built this community where people can buy expensive condos and rent apartments for $12,000 a month. Is there any options, any discussion? Can there be to try to save this small amount of quasi rent stabilized people living here still, and only for another 4 years, mind you?
Yeah.
4 years, that's it.
That we up through July of 2020, then through 2030. Which is, yes, you're right now, at the end of this year, be 4 years away.
Yeah.
It is on the radar of our President CEO and Terrence Cho, who's our Vice President. You'll see he's been at this committee before. So more to come on that.
I mean, people
But
are,
Again, we know it, and I know that it's
and
obviously.
you get these huge sums of money coming through Battery Park City Authority, like the general fund. And still, we don't exist.
So two separate things there. So the QRS is interesting because it kind of exists outside that structure, being as it is a remnant and from your perspective, a very positive one. Here it is a Battery Park City,
Yeah.
where QRS essentially existed outside the structures of 421A.
Right.
Whereas the joint purpose fund and others, like the announcement made last summer.
Yeah.
How that's decided, how that gets different numbers between HEC and HEC.
Yeah, but that went with city agency, which will have no effect on
But the larger
stabilizing
conversation about
state.
Greenfield and Gateway rather is, when we're certainly aware, know the deadline and to the extent we have those conversations earlier. I think we'd like to have them
Well, I
earlier, but
think
that's the extent.
People
that I have.
need them because
I get it.
we're in a,
We're leaving.
we're leaving.
Yeah.
And leaving the city, leaving the community we built.
I know it. Okay. Okay, free events, we go through, we don't have to go through them all. I do want to make sure that folks know, that those are folks in the community who have been very generous and essentially been pincushions for blood drives. We are doing the next blood drive on October 15th. That's at 6 River Terrace. All those who participate, have participated in the past, thank you. We have the Tribeca Jazz Institute and a couple of other events coming up as our fall program, believe it or not, begins to spin off as the season comes to an end. Brooklyn Contra there, and then Campfire Stories and Songs up in Teardrop on the 25th. Public record video, we talked about it earlier with some of the artworks around Battery Park City. Talked about dogs on lawns. And we always have the scam alert, which the first person has success to put in there. That's a fixture of our report each month. We have the Injured Bird Information Center and information session, which I talked about, and our homeless assistance, which we spent some time at event as well. I think we have a community advisory board meeting coming up fairly soon as well. That's with the group that runs the 105 Washington Street South Shelter, right outside Battery Park City, but in close proximity nonetheless. One thing I did want to bring up was we have parks happenings. I won't go through all the details here, but we have things coming up in the parks this month, including dry ice treatments. I know that came up earlier. And then some new trees being planted as well as part of the tree power program as well.
Wait, what thing, with the
And
rats?
the water's gonna be turned off at the end of the month because the cold weather setting. Go ahead.
Requests from buildings in Battery Park City, and I'm sure it would go to the rental buildings too, but certainly for the
Yep.
condos, I can speak. When you do the dry ice, if you can coordinate with the building, they could do their own thing, because what's
They go
apparently
from
one
part
foot to
another.
the other and back and forth. So if you coordinate and everybody does the rat mitigation at the same time, it makes a difference. I think that
That makes sense.
talked about for Gateway too.
Yeah, well, we also talked about we can have more precision around this, as we get closer to the start of construction is
Make it
we
work.
had done in the past, similar to what we did like the bird information session.
Mhm.
We, think we'd be happy to offer if buildings wanted to kind of tune in to like sessions we can run with the folks in our parks operations team who do dry ice treatments, kind of like lessons learned, what you can do at a building level yourself. I think might be helpful to folks that we can record that session and place it online as well. So it's a resource that we can't necessarily make the time and date that we do. We can still tune into the YouTube channel kind of see some of the best practices, similar to what we've done with composting and what we've done with birds. We have some other items there, but those are the main ones. I did want to bring to your attention that the neighborhood coordination officers still exist, but in a different form. So the NYPD has launched now its new kind of two teams, which essentially focus on 311 and 911 complaints, but it's not the straight one-to-one. Here's the NCO's number anymore, so we put in a different flavor that the NYPD has instituted. They essentially have two teams that focus on non-emergency 311 and 911 concerns. They'll continue to nurture the relationships they built with the local community, but it's no longer here are the NCOs for the north neighborhood or the NCOs for the south neighborhood. I've linked there also information about the quality of life division. So that's helpful to know, but again, it doesn't change function here on the ground. I think what you would do, please continue to reach out to Pat and myself or the first precinct with issues as they come up. I just want to make sure that folks were. Yes, go ahead.
Few teams were giving out criminal summonses. People with any kind of e-bike infraction.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess they're still doing that. That didn't change when they went out. That, they started that when they were just 1 or 2 pilot.
Yes,
But I think as they expanded it, I didn't know about that.
I haven't either.
But I think you should know, if you call about some of these complaints, they said they do a criminal summons.
Okay. Okay, was that something that you liked or didn't?
No, criminal summons, someone just on an e-bike versus anything else.
Right,
Led to a lot of people being swept up by.
okay. Yes. Okay, that's a good flag.
Yeah, a lot of them could get swept up and taken out of the country for whatever, so think twice before they. Unless the few things changed it, but
Okay.
I don't think they have.
Okay, they have not. That's a good flag. Hasn't, okay. And then Pat mentioned the first precinct community council, that's the last Thursday of every month, with certain exceptions notwithstanding. So the next one would be October 30th at the first precinct. And then this is, we're gonna end where we started. The police memorial names dedication is on the 15th. And I talked to Jeff about this on the way up this morning. The 23rd annual, 23rd annual BBC Dogs Halloween Costume Parade, is that the actual name?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's, you'll see the type of event because it's the end of the evening and I had to have some fun with it. We're calling it a community paw parade. The date, no, I'm sorry, is incorrect. The date is Sunday, the 25th, the rain date, Saturday, the 25th, the rain date is Sunday, the 26th. So I will fix that in the version that goes to our site.
Make sure they stay on the path.
25th, 26th.
Yes, they are.
Dogs on the lawn. And that's the VP's Dogs. 23rd annual one, so that's coming up. That's it, pending any questions.
No, thank you.
I think we asked all our questions.
I think we
Pat
did.
was-
Well, Pat, exactly, and interrupting you in between, so.
I sat in the wrong seat.
We got, see, if you sat next. to
Now
me,
we have
really
one
nice.
other item on our agenda,
I'm sorry, it takes so much time.
Oh, we just started being.
but I think it's a quick one.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of district meetings, and I think the only issue is whether they want the 311.
So, yeah, you said you had an email saying that they could do it by our phone location.
They can, yeah, they can do the, GPS coordinates like he does.
And then that works and they can find us.
Does, I mean, it's
Since when? That's
it's
what they
another-
do?
not really.
Because they couldn't find us before.
Well, maybe that's the caller didn't cover up the,
Oh, then you can say, in New York or.
how it works.
You can do your phone can do GPS coordinates.
Oh,
And then if you give them that.
Wait, when you call 911, you
But
have
that's
to
a-
look up, oh,
but
wait,
that's-
hold on, I'm
that's-
reading here, but.
Exactly, probably,
Hey, PBS.
probably an extra minute.
well, soon I know how to.
No, we don't need to be sure.
Yes, you guys are good. Thank you so much. Thank
Of
you.
course, guys, thank you very much for seeing us. Month.
One.
Thank you, Pat.
Welcome.
Okay. All right, cool.
So
And that's in Find Friends or what?
This is a maps.
Maps, okay.
So considering that
Thank you
particular line item in our budget was to have them set up this very capability,
Yeah, we can get rid of it.
you know, maybe I think.
Do we have to vote on that or are we going to say? Betty?
Since it came up today in the conversation with Christine and Sarah. With South End, was asking for the city to pay their DOT percent of doing project. What about
Little West Street, yeah.
the same thing? If that seems to be in a no man's territory, who's gonna take responsibility? It's obviously overrun. What against it? Is BBCA gonna take, be given responsibility, expected to pay for the building? Or is it going to be the DOT picking it up on the routine and doing it? And I had said in our conversation earlier, because that was, and I missed, there must be some kind of precedent, but the other streets on the north side, obviously were milled, and something happened, had something to do with it. We do something with Little West Street, because it's the limbo land that never had anything done.
Well, so do we want to put, do we mention Little West Street already in our budget request?
No.
Then maybe we
Think we
should
should
add,
add that, yeah.
you know, milling, it's an expense, it's not.
I think that's expense, yeah. Do you, I mean, do you wanna just have it in yours, cause it's not in your committee?
In transportation?
Well, it's like, South End Avenue, it was.
It's in both, yeah.
But I wanted to get people from the city to be aware of it, before I just put it into DOT one, the transportation. Because
I think it makes sense.
It says the South End Avenue item, which is independent by the city budget, isn't it?
Well, South End Avenue was for a study. We're talking about just paving.
Pavement, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Paving, you make room with that. We asked me to pave Little West Street, figure it out. Who controls it? Tammy was saying it's the Better Park City Authority, but I don't, the DOT didn't tell us that. But
But
people
it's-
say that.
It's like, this is like
I know.
the classic,
Who said- who
government,
said, Yeah.
you know, where you get blocked, right? And they point at each other until like we bother them enough that they have to
So
figure it
let's
out.
put it in there.
Yeah, to follow it up and say.
Lisa
that
had it.
New York City DOT paid their share of.
Yeah. And I talked last week, I was on a call with the DOT commissioner, and I brought it up. She wasn't aware of. So, issue.
Little West Street?
No, this like bigger issue, with, like, you know, her team saying it's BBC. So,
Well, do you know enough about the issue to write up?
yeah, I think maybe Betty and I, we could do it and put it in your committee, because it's gonna go to DOT anyway.
But I still want to get. approval of
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, and yes, it's a great idea. Thank you for doing that, Betty. That's a really good point.
Anything to kind of push them along.
Yeah, don't push it, but
Okay. All right. That is it, I believe.
Ben, thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.